Did you play decently, or were you too pissed off?
I played all right. I had to play solo the last day, and I'm playing the club president and his partner, Mark Bonner, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, Buffalo guy. And he looks at me, and Bonner's about 71. Bonner looks at me, and he's got a cigar at 8 in the morning. He goes, "Don't beat me." So we start on a par 3. I make par. I'm the only one that makes par. I'm 1 up. I tie him on the second hole. I beat him on the third hole. I'm up 2 after 3. We have another par 3. I proceed to make a nice up and down from about 8 feet to make par. His partner's got about a 4.5 footer to have the hole. And he makes it. And we're walking off the green. I look at Tim. I go, "Pucker a little bit on that one, did you?" And he says, "More than a little bit." And then Bonner proceeds to chip one in on 9 for birdie and beat me. And then the rails kind of came off after that. But I had him on the ropes for a couple of holes.
There you go.
All right, let's get this. See if I can
Morning, everybody. Spitz in Port Charlotte this morning.
That's ready. Come on, man. No, why? I need this activation.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Monday. Hope you had a terrific weekend. As always, we thank you for starting your week off with us. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark, who took Thursday and Friday off for a little golf outing, as he's done every year for years now. Welcome back. How difficult is it to get back into the swing, pardon the pun, of things? Because there is a whole hell of a lot going on in the sports world, Mr. Miller.
There is. It's, a little college basketball. Yesterday was nothing, so I spent the day with my family, watched a little hoop, watched a little golf, watched X as things were blowing up all over the place in whatever sports world you want to come from. So it obviously was a big sports week. We're getting ready for free agency. March Madness is a week away. The little tournaments are getting their bids. It's a lot to digest, Mr. Moulton.
Well, fortunately, Mark, NFL free agency doesn't begin until 4 o'clock on Wednesday, so there's really nothing to talk about until then. They don't even wait for the legal tampering period to begin.
No.
Now, they just, if guys get released sooner, then they're fair game sooner. So teams didn't even wait. They're just jumping in. We got a lot going on. Hey, we're going to have JP Peterson on the show in a little more than an hour and a half. We almost had JP on Friday. And I don't know how familiar most of our guests are with JP Peterson. He does Lightning Television, pre and post in between periods. He has his own show. And he's been good to us over the years, and he comes on. Well, JP has been saying for a year and a half,
Yeah.
at least, and I don't know if it's 2 years, but it's at least a year and a half.
Right.
Right. In which we'd have him on and we'd talk about Stu Sternberg and the Rays, and he would say, guys, I'm telling you, all right, they're going to end up in Tampa. We're like, come on, JP. He's like, guys, I'm telling you, there are people that want to make it happen. We got to get Stu out of the way. If we can get Stu out of the way, this thing is going to happen in Tampa. So late last week, JP on his own show was talking once again about the future of the Rays. Now, Mark, you and I follow the national sports scene pretty closely. We have somebody nationally, especially big name people in a sport, say something about the teams that are closest to us. We don't miss it very often. And no one nationally, no one for the last year and a half had ever written or said anything about the Rays and Tampa. JP was on his own island here with his own sources until Friday. And then all of a sudden, some national people started talking about the future of the Rays and whether or not Stu Sternberg's going to be the owner of the Rays. That even came out last night. But there's been a 48 to 72 hour, all of a sudden, Jeff Passan, okay, Evan Drellick, people, prominent media people in baseball have never gone down the road, the lane that J.P. Peterson has gone down. And all of a sudden, there's some noise in the system.
Well, I think to further your point, David, for Passan and others nationally, it's one thing for JP locally to have his sources, and he has been steadfast with his opinions on this. They have not changed one iota for at least 18 months. But for the national baseball writers to start talking about Major League Baseball trying to get new ownership, owners in Major League Baseball trying to push Sternberg out, that to me is something you don't hear in any sport, David.
No, that's serious. Think about it. Rob Manfred did not try to push the owner of the Oakland A's out. And I don't know how many of you paid close attention to that, but that was a debacle. And Manfred didn't try to push John Fisher out at any point in time. Now, people of Oakland wanted to get rid of him. People of Oakland were begging him to sell the team. But Rob Manfred's and Major League Baseball is perfectly happy with Oakland no longer having a team and that team being in Vegas. Yeah, they want a new owner of the St. Pete, Tampa, Orlando franchise. Wherever it's going to be, they don't much care, but it sounds as if they want a new owner of the Rays. Mark, I know how much you enjoy the little break that you take in early March. I don't text you at all during your little 2-3 day golf soiree and then the time you get with your family and what have you. We get very little time off on this show. I am not going to bother you with anything sports related unless somebody huge, quite frankly, died.
Right.
I sent you, I believe, one text during the time that you and I were not doing a show on Thursday and Friday.
Yes.
Mark, what was the text?
Brad Marchand's a Panther.
And I hesitated a little bit and I go, now does this Is this big enough? Is this? Yeah, I think it is, especially since I know he's going to be playing golf with a couple of Boston people. Okay, this could be a topic of conversation. Yeah, I'm going to send it. I'm going to do it. Okay, run the risk of derailing him and what have you. But nope, this is big enough. I'm going to do it. Of all the teams. He goes to the Panthers, and it was the only one he wanted to go to.
I like the Panthers. I love the way that they play. If you're a Panther fan today, and I don't think that there are many long-term Panther fans, most of you are new, and that's okay. I'm just curious as to how the Panther fan took this. Because it's one thing to trade for a high-quality player. Brad Marchand qualifies as that. He's a high-quality player.
He's going in the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
He's a rat.
Yes, he is.
He's a rat playing for the Rats now.
and of all the teams, there were other teams that wanted him. And
of course there were. It's Brad Marchand.
I know.
Who want him in the middle of March to make a playoff run? This guy's good in the postseason.
Mark, what franchise has ruined his life the last 2 years?
The Florida Panthers.
Right. And so when things fall apart at the last minute with the Bruins, he says, well, I'll only go to the Panthers. Make the best deal you can. And that's it. And they get what? A second-round pick that I guess could turn into a first-round pick if, I don't know. I don't even know what the contingency is. I don't know if it's based on him. I don't know if it's based on them winning the cup. Okay. My goodness. All right. Their third line could have Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand on it. Are you serious? Are you serious? I mean, you got to be kidding. Didn't both those guys play in the Four Nations?
They did, David.
Right. And that's the third line wingers. Come on.
Not to mention the D-man they picked up from
Seth Jones.
Chicago. So
right.
They just went and got better.
And I don't care what the standings say. The Caps have more points. They're the best team in the East. And the Lightning have been on a run, and Toronto's got a nice team. Ladies and gentlemen, they've gone to the finals 2 years in a row. This might be their best team. Golly.
And if anybody thinks Matthew Tkachuk's done for the year, you're crazy. My guess is he plays in their first playoff game.
Right. He'll be healthy about a week to go in the regular season. Write it down. Yep.
Pay attention to the beat writers when they start talking about him skating at practice.
Yep. Wearing a special jersey so as to not be hit, and everybody's laughing at practice as if they can't hit Matthew Tkachuk. Right. Mm-hmm.
That's just local baseball and hockey inside the state.
Did we get above I-4 yet?
No.
I mean, technically the Rays are close if you want to bring Tampa into the equation. I don't think we've gotten above I-4 yet.
We have not, David.
We haven't touched on the madness. Hell, an NFL starting quarterback got traded. Where the hell did that come from? Oh, by the way, I want to trade. Upon further review, I'll stay. If you're going to offer me that kind of money. The Pittsburgh Steelers making a big splash on offense? What in the world's going on?
And the biggest name on the other side of the ball wanted to leave until they paid him oogles of cash. And now he's a very happy Cleveland Brown with a no trade clause.
I mean, I almost paid him Deshaun Watson money, for goodness sakes. Miller and Moulton. We have a hell of a show lined up for you. Ray Fittipaldo, JP Peterson, Andy Baskin will do our daily bracketology with Shelby Mast as the Power Conference tournaments get underway today or tomorrow. Many of the small and mid-sized conference tournaments are done or all but done. And so we'll see what the bracket looks like at this point in time. Miller and Moulton. Hope you had a great weekend. And thanks for starting your week with us, millerandmoulton.com. Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller or the David
For over
Moulton.
50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Oh my God, why is everything fucking going wrong this morning? Come on.
Well, go Raiders. I don't know if the Cup is staying in South Beach because there's a couple teams out west that are really good, but I will be shocked if for the 6th year in a row the representative in the Eastern Conference does not come from the state of Florida. Because the Lightning did it 3 years in a row, and the Panthers now have done it the last 2. And if it's not Florida or Tampa, I'll be shocked. Oh, Vasilevsky ambient. I mean, Bob's terrific, and he's probably going to the Hall of Fame, but if I had to win one game in the NHL, I'd pick Vaz. I'd pick him over Hallenbuck. I'd pick him over Shesterkin. The Panthers are deeper, ambient, even with the moves the Lightning have made. Panthers are deeper. You could argue that the Lightning's first line, is a little better than the Panthers' first line, but I mean, can the Lightning beat the Panthers? Absolutely. I mean, those are going to be 6 or 7 tremendous games. I just hope they're playing in the second round. Poor Toronto.
No.
I feel badly for the Leafs.
No, it's not. It's their fault. They signed Marner to a no trade deal.
No doubt.
On them. I purposefully got here early today, too.
Oh, and no, I could tell.
Not one thing has gone right. And my computer, I can't hook up to the internet, so I can't send out the show tweet. I can't get the good, the bad, and ugly. I mean, hey, we're back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. A little behind the curtain for those that are not taking us in via twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Mark is producer, engineer of the show. You all know that. And so Mark's been gone for a couple of days. Rick Church filled in admirably and then some. And, it was great to work with Rick again, and great dude and the whole thing. And by the way, very appreciative. Many of you have texted in 21,000 and, telling Rick, hey, because he's been a Southwest Florida radio staple for a while. So when people heard him, again, blah, blah, blah. So like most of us, you come back from a break, whether it's a long break or a short break, and you usually come back one of two ways. You either show up within 3 minutes of your shift starting and you're like, oh, man, I really do not want to go back to work. I loved being away. Or you come back like Mark Miller. Up early, showered, dressed, okay, good shirt on too. Collared, all right, not a T-shirt, which he often wears. Nope, he's got the collared shirt. He looks good, showered, all right, in early, making sure everything's ready. Been gone for a few days and just want to make sure the right buttons are pushed. Got the stuff loaded on the computer. Mark, how are things going?
Could not have gone any worse this morning. The computer that I connect with you would not even turn on this morning. Fortunately, there's one guy from another station who has been able to help me out when I get into trouble. And we somehow at 5:49 got that computer to work, which left me 6 minutes to get connected with you. Had my computer that I send out the show tweet, do some other work, monitor the text line. Well, that computer, for whatever reason, the Wi-Fi in the building, it's not connecting, and we're having a mess there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's just going along swimmingly.
Swimmingly. You do look good. Even people commenting about how good you look. This whole shape-up thing, this is working.
Yeah, I got to get back after it. Been 4 or 5 days off with the last week. So today is now. You know what? I was really good with the diet until Saturday night, until the whole tournament was over, and I said to my wife, "I want ice cream," and I got some ice cream, and it was delicious.
Good. Well, good for you.
And for those asking in the Twitch chat room and listening, when I said I was going to drink 100 beers between Wednesday and Saturday, depends on how you want to. We were talking during the tournament because I said this to a friend of mine, Chris Zio, and congratulations to him because he won the whole damn thing. Very, very proud of him. Did a tremendous job. He and his partner Stan Gutt won the whole thing, so that was absolutely awesome to see. But we were joking, and I said, right on Wednesday before the practice round, I said out there, I'm going to drink 100 beers. And he's like, yeah, that sounds about right. And there was, on day 2 of the tournament, on the Friday, they always have this year it was a Tito's tent, where someone sponsors the tent, and it's free vodkas all damn day.
Wow.
So we did make the analogy, whether or not you go with us on this one, is that 1 vodka equaled 2 beers. So when you started moving to the transfusions on Friday, things, could make a turn. But it was, I did what I said I was going to do from a drinking standpoint. Okay. Golf did not go nearly as well, and such is life. But I had a great time, had a great day on Saturday. The last day was a lot of fun, and no, it's a fun week, and I always look forward to it.
Well, that's awesome. One could argue the golf was did not go as well as you had hoped because you met your goal.
I would surprise people with my ability to play with a buzz.
Gotcha.
That's all I would say is that I'm a little better with 6 beers than no beers.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, listen, my next door neighbor for the longest time, if he went bowling and didn't have a beer, he was a mess. At 150, 160, 170 at best. Okay. If you could get him, 2 beers that night, he might 700 series. Oh yeah, boom, right out there. And so when I'd see him the next morning, it'd be like, hey, how'd it go last night? And he said, 2 beers. Okay, I didn't need to know the score. That was all I need. Okay. Thanks.
There you go.
Good to know.
There you go.
All right. Miller and Moulton, MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Did anybody think Seattle was going to trade Geno Smith?
Where did that come from?
I know. Apparently, here's where it came from. They've been trying to do a contract extension with him. He was entering the final year of his deal, and they weren't making any progress. So then the Raiders called them. And Pete Carroll, pretty familiar with the Seahawks roster. And he's really good friends with John Schneider, considering he handpicked him to be the GM with him in Seattle. And next thing you know, they start talking. And did you hear the one trade proposal, by the way, that Seattle made to Vegas? We'll give you Geno Smith and DK Metcalf for Max Crosby.
I like that teams are suggesting trades like that, even if they don't get done, because the more times that general managers talk about moving talent for talent, the likelihood it's going to start happening more. And here's the thing, David. GMs have trouble with this. You and I talk about it all the time. There is a way for both teams to win a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the Lions and Rams.
Yeah.
That was a win-win.
Still is. Right? Both teams are thrilled with it. Both teams would do the deal again yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Right.
So apparently that's how it came about. They all had their issues with certain players, and they're talking, and I guess they had spent a few weeks trying to negotiate something with DK, weren't making any progress. Spent a few weeks negotiating something with Geno, weren't making any progress. Seattle threw out the idea, how about we give you DK and Geno for Max Crosby? And Vegas went, no. He's our franchise. Okay, he's our identity. No, we ain't getting rid of him. Oh, okay. Well, then, who are you most interested in? And they're like, well, the Geno Smith thing interests us. So he's a 35-year-old quarterback who has 1 year left on a contract. And when you think of Geno Smith, of the 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, just gut feeling off the top of your head, where do you put Geno Smith?
The bottom half.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but he might make the middle third, the bottom part of the middle third, if you know what I mean.
Oh, okay. And I may be a little higher than that. Okay. But all right. Like Feeney says bottom 12.
No way.
I think he's more like the middle. I think he's like right around 16. Maybe 16 to 18, but but 35 years old, has a year left on his contract. But with what's out there and what they can get their hands on, and so the Raiders said, so you're not signing him? No, we're not going to be able to come to a deal. Well, we'll give you a third-round pick for him. Now, remember where the Raiders are drafting. The Raiders are drafting pretty high. And Seattle said, well, that's a top 70 player in the draft. Yeah, okay. So they trade DK Metcalf. They trade Geno. They won 10 games last year.
Yes,
it's not a
did.
bad team.
Nope. But they don't think that team's good enough to win a championship.
And so they're tearing it down.
Yes, they are.
Well, who are they going to get to replace them? And if it's Sam Darnold, isn't he going to cost more than Geno Smith? Starting 5 is next.
Defining a new era in men's health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has the look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
We'll talk to Ray Fittipaldo in 45 minutes, but there's a lot of rumors about Fields to Pittsburgh or the Jets.
To the Jets. Yeah. All right. There's a show post 40 minutes into the show. How about NBC yesterday? Were you watching the golf?
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
They were doing it all the time down the stretch because they came back earlier. Was it Henley was putting for birdie a couple holes before, and they come back from break and they go, moments ago, Henley for birdie. And I'm like, how do we miss this?
Nope. NBC doesn't care. The golf is interrupting their commercials.
Unbelievable.
They're the worst. They're the worst at it. You see so much taped golf at NBC.
Eve's like, what? They come back. I'm like, each other. I'm yelling at the TV. You'd have been better off showing that on tape than coming back live and the chip being halfway towards the hole.
It was awful.
Hold it for 15 seconds.
Did you see the one meme that somebody did? If NBC had aired The Miracle on Ice, okay, and they showed clips of two ads, and then they show the players running onto the ice after they had won.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. We're about 40 minutes away from Ray Fittipaldo joining us to talk about the Steelers' big move, which is, a footnote in everything that has taken place over the last, 60 plus hours in the sports world. Wow, has it been crazy. It's been awesome. Time now for...
Oh, man. There it is.
The starting five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting five.
We'll start with the NFL. Steelers acquire DK Metcalf and sign him to a 5-year, $150 million extension. They give up a second-round pick and then they flip picks with the Seahawks in the 6th and 7th rounds. Metcalf, 27 years old, is going to make $18 million this year, and then I believe the 5-year extension kicks in. I don't believe the 5-year extension takes the place of. I believe it begins after this year. Devontae Adams, meanwhile, see, the Jets had let him go. So he didn't have to wait to the beginning of the new year. He was free immediately. So the Rams signed him up. 2-year deal. So it's going to be Devontae and Puka. And I would think this helps the Jags. Jags trying to acquire Cooper Kupp. I would think the Jags now could look at the Rams and go, dude, this ain't going to work for you salary cap wise. You need to unload them. So we'll wait you out. Remember, Myles Garrett was never going to play for the Browns again. Myles Garrett, late last week, the word was that he called the owner of the Browns, said, hey, we need to talk. And the owner said, yeah, I don't want anything to do with you. Talk to the GM. Well, man, they must have had some good food and drink this weekend in Cleveland. Hoo. Man, and maybe we need to look into just how much drank, because all of a sudden, the Browns and Myles Garrett, hell, he ain't playing for anybody else ever. He's got 2 years left on a contract. Hell, we'll sign him to 4 years on top of that. Well, in fact, we'll pay him more than anybody who's not a quarterback's ever been paid.
We're going to say that a lot here, David.
Right.
We're with the new cap and the money that's coming. We're the highest non-quarterback contract ever. We're going to say that a lot.
Remember, Max Crosby just had that contract. What do you have it for? About 3-4 days?
Right.
And now it's Myles Garrett, $40 million a year. Although it won't kick in till 2027. But Myles Garrett signed through 2030. Has a no trade, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's married to Cleveland now. 123 of the 160 million extension is guaranteed. So basically, the next 5 years, Myles Garrett is fully guaranteed. The Bills cut Von Miller. They re-signed in recent days Greg Rousseau, Terrell Bernard, and wide receiver Khalil Shakir. Oh, okay, that was nice. And then, out of nowhere, announced a new deal for Josh Allen, which takes effect immediately. And he still had time left on his old deal. And they said, no, you're underpaid. We're going to start paying you $55 a year. How about for the next 6 years? So Josh Allen getting $55 a year effective immediately through 2030. And then he can get one more big bite at the apple. 250 of the 330 is guaranteed, oh, by the way. So the Titans cut linebacker Harold Landry on Friday. Well, Patriots, Mike Vrabel said, he's a good player. We'll take him. They signed him 3 years, 14 and a half per year. First 2 years of the 3-year deal are guaranteed. Vikings re-signed running back Aaron Jones, 2 years, $20 million. And the Jets retained middle linebacker Jamie Sherwood, 3 years, $45 million, 30 of the 45 guaranteed. So that was just the NFL. That'd be a busy weekend if we just dealt with that one sport. College football, oh, by the way, Bowling Green hired Eddie George away from Tennessee State. And he had just taken him to the FCS playoffs. So Eddie George back in Ohio, okay, with Bowling Green. Wait, is Bowling Green in Ohio?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I thought so. And the Big 12 is moving 10 football games to Friday nights this year. UCF will be playing one of them. They'll be hosting Houston on Friday, November 7th. All right, let's talk some college hoop. Michigan State, they had already wrapped up the Big Ten regular season title. They whooped up on their arch rival Michigan by 17, 79-62. Little disagreement at the end. Michigan players standing on the logo.
They're big on standing on logos. It's important for those in Ann Arbor to stand on. Win or lose, they stand on logos.
Dusty May afterwards said, I didn't realize that was a thing. My bad. Okay.
Okay.
Well, whatever.
None of his players probably did. None of the student manager. Nobody in Ann Arbor had any clue. They played a student manager game the night before. Nobody at Michigan had any clue that they've only done that for 30 years in East Lansing. No.
Seniors playing their last game, they kissed the logo on their way off the floor the final time. That's why the Michigan players standing on it, and at the end it was a thing. Lipscomb wins the A-Sun at home. They beat North Alabama by 11. They get the bid. High Point wins the Big South. I don't know if they'd ever won the Big South. I think it'd been at least 20 years. So High Point gets the bid. Drake wins the Missouri Valley by 15 over Bradley. Omaha actually had received the bid the night before because they were playing St. Thomas in the Summit final, and St. Thomas was ineligible to go to the tournament. But Omaha won the Summit by 10 last night. They go. By the way, Mark, your smaller conference tournament championship games later today, American against Navy for the Patriot League title, Arkansas State against Troy for the Sun Belt, and Furman against Wofford for the SoCon. Hey, remember when NC State had that Cinderella run to the Final Four last year?
Yeah, it delayed the inevitable for a year. He was getting fired last year.
But just a year. I couldn't even get two out of going to the Final Four. He beat Duke in the Elite Eight last year, and Kevin Keats couldn't make it another 12 months? Kevin Keats fired at NC State. Women's hoops, South Carolina won the SEC. UCLA gets a little revenge against USC after the Trojans beat them twice, because when you see UCLA and USC, you think Big Ten final.
USC was thumping them in this game.
They were.
Thumping them. And then
they went the first 9 minutes of the fourth quarter, didn't score a bucket. And, UCLA got very physical with them, and USC wilted. Duke, Carol Lawson, their head coach, she wins her first ACC title, beating NC State in the final. TCU beat our friend Nikki Collin and Baylor for the third time this year to win the Big 12. And South Dakota State won the Summit, beating Oral Roberts. The Big East final later today, UConn and Creighton. There were 8 games in the NBA yesterday. I'll give you 2 of them. Cleveland beat Milwaukee 112-100, and OKC beat Denver by 24. Did you see Jokic's stat line either Thursday or Friday night while you were away?
I did.
He had the first 30-20-20 double-double or triple-double in NBA history. He had 31 points, 21 rebounds, and 22 assists. LeBron injured his groin against the Celtics. He's out 1 to 2 weeks. I think he injured it when he faked the flop against Tatum. He's not going to live that one down. Can't be faking flopping nowadays. We got too many replays, too many angles. You didn't get touched. You're 6'9", 260 pounds. I mean, what? You're playing European soccer? You can't do that, man. NHL, 8 games. Ovechkin, an empty netter for the Caps, 4-2 win over Seattle. That's goal 886. He's 9 away from passing Gretzky. Columbus whooped up on the Rangers 7-3. They're 2 points up in the race for the playoffs. They own the first wild card right now. Ottawa, the second wild card. And boy, the NHL sure wants Columbus and Ottawa. They don't want any part of the Rangers, the Bruins, or the Red Wings.
No,
Okay?
no. Let's make sure we get Columbus and Ottawa in there. 2
great stories. Okay.
Great goals.
Okay. But right now, the NHL's looking at their wild card teams being Columbus and Ottawa. Baseball. Garrett Cole. He's done. Tommy John surgery. The Yankees ace. He ain't pitching for at least a year. Right. Remember when Marcus Stroman was the number 6 starter for the Yankees and they were trying to trade him because he wasn't going to start for them? He's their number 3 starter. It's not even mid-March. At this rate, he may be starting opening day. They have so many pitching injuries. By the way, the Orioles need to be concerned about Grayson Rodriguez. He's nursing a shoulder, and he's being shut down. I'll tell you what, the AL East may be a lot more wide open than we thought.
Well, with the Yankees pitching problems already, and Stanton's out to start the season, so LeMahieu's hurt. I mean, they're just banged up.
Stanton's talking about being out for the year. Stanton's talking about needing surgery on both his elbows and missing the year. What did we miss? Stanton crushed the ball in the World Series, and Garrett Cole threw 5 shutout innings in Game 5 before the whole meltdown in the 6th. Mets lost their starting catcher 6 to 8 weeks. He broke his hand swinging a bat. Francisco Alvarez. Oh, yeah. Numerous reports say that Stu Sternberg is being pressured by Major League Baseball to sell the team. Remember, 3 weeks today, he has to sign or walk away from the St. Pete deal. J.P. Peterson in 45 minutes to talk about that. Golf. Russell Henley. You probably, if you watched NBC, didn't see it, okay?
But I saw the second half of the shot.
But he won the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I don't know if they showed you that or not, but boy, did they get their ads in. Yeah, he chipped in for Eagle on 16. Rumor has it. And beat Morikawa by 1. Carl Phillips won the Puerto Rico Open. The amateur, that Van Wyck guy, finished tied for 4th. George McNeil, by the way, made the cut. Played well. 11 under, 4 days in Puerto Rico. Finished T45. He turns 50 in October.
Hey, getting ready for that senior tour.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is working on the game.
He's on that anymore. There was a time when you had any kind of status, you automatically qualified. There's so many Champions Tour players. It is not as easy, and you don't have the status that you once did. So George trying to get ready to have to play and play well on the senior tour.
Yep. Well, I mean, he did it right. Got married. Kids, now working on the golf game because he's going to go back and have a second career here. LIV Sergio, the winner in Hong Kong, and Phil finished 3rd. His best finish on LIV. Both of them getting ready for the Masters coming up. LPGA was in China. Japan's Ryo Takeda, the winner. Christopher Bells won 3 in a row in NASCAR. Last driver to do that was Harvick 7 years ago. He held off Denny Hamlin in a green-white checkered finish at Phoenix. 3 in a row for Christopher Bell. And finally, my favorite story of the weekend. Mark, Indiana's got the basketball tournament. Minnesota's got the high school hockey tournament. All right? It's the greatest thing I've ever covered. And I've worked the Super Bowl. All right? The Minnesota high school hockey tournament is the best. They had 20,491 on hand for the semis and the finals on Friday and Saturday at the XL Center in St. Paul. 20,491 both days for high school hockey. Moorhead, Minnesota, which was where, by the way, the Big Bopper and the crew were flying when their plane went down. It's just on the other side of the border from Fargo, North Dakota. The Spuds from Moorhead, Minnesota. Mark, they had made it to the state final 8 previous times, had never won it. Last year, the manager of the team, Ethan Monshaugen, died of a rare heart condition. They carried his jersey all year on the bench. The Spuds in their 9th state final beat Stillwater 7-6. And they skated around the XL Center with Ethan's jersey.
Awesome. Great story.
And that, at 7 minutes before the hour, was the starting 5. 5 big stories and the Spuds.
The Spuds, baby. The Moorhead Spuds getting the state title in Minnesota. The best hair ever. Miller and Moulton. Ray Fittipaldo will join us next hour. J.P. Peterson as well. Andy Baskin in the 8 o'clock hour. And Shelby Mast to talk brackets at 9.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has the look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Is snoring bothering your spouse? Would you like to sleep in the same bed again? Do you know that snoring can affect your sleep cycle and cause lower testosterone levels? At Sleep Treatment Direct, we have easy solutions. We have a simple laser procedure that can improve snoring in 10 minutes. If you would like to get back in the same bed or are looking for a natural way to treat low testosterone, give us a call at 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Or go to sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
They are the Spuds. Moorhead, Minnesota, just across the river from Fargo. I covered one of those 8 crushing finals losses for Moorhead, led by senior Matt Cullen, whose dad was the coach, whose brother was a defenseman on the team. He got robbed of the Mr. Hockey Award that year. They always voted to somebody who's considered a better prospect. And there was this kid in Duluth who was considered a better pro prospect, which is funny because Matt Cullen played like 20 years. So they gave that kid Dave Spihar Mr. Hockey, and then Spihar's Duluth team beat Cullen's Moorhead team in the final. Oh, Robes. God, he is. Hey, how you doing, Robes? How about that? Cullen's kids. Who's the other one? Ryan Kraft's kid, I think, was on the team, right? Also? Yeah, that's so funny. They've been so good for so long. Cullen won 3 cups, and he would have given at least one of them up to have won that state final 30 years ago. Robes, I hope the family's good. And I don't need to know how old everybody is. I know.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend, and thanks for starting your week off with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Ray Fittipaldo in 20 minutes to talk about the big move that the Steelers made and what future moves may be quickly coming because, well, the legal tampering has begun. So, now the NFL teams, Mark, can really start doing things. They had to hold tight over the weekend. They couldn't do anything. But now that there's legal tampering, they can, So we'll talk with Ray Fittipaldo about the Steelers coming up in a bit. JP Peterson in about 35 minutes. Maybe JP was right after all. For 1.5 to 2 years, he's been telling us there's money in Tampa that wants the Rays.
And wants the Rays in Tampa. That's that's really the other part of this.
Now, there's conflicting reports, I will say. There's what you're saying, which is there's Tampa money that wants it in Tampa. There's also a report, I think in Evan Drellick's report in The Athletic, in which he talked about a Tampa ownership group that will accept the deal in St. Pete. So there's that whole angle as well. And the deadline to accept the deal in St. Pete is 3 weeks today.
And oh, by the way, if neither of those groups up, The Athletic did point out there's the Orlando group that's sitting there going, you want to screw this up in both cities, we'll be more than happy to take a Major League Baseball team here.
But apparently Rob Manfred has said, no. This franchise is going to be in Tampa, St. Pete, or Orlando. And apparently Rob Manfred over the weekend delivered the message to Sue Sternberg that you're not going to be the owner of that team either. That we've had it with you. Which is shocking, I think, because there are a few other owners that I might have had it with more than Stu Sternberg. I mean, it's not like he's not putting a good product on the field. I mean, what was that stat? Since 2008, they've won the 4th most games in Major League Baseball. I mean, hello, or at least but I think it's baseball, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, no. They are they were just behind St. Louis, I think, over that by a game or something like that. But yes.
But They apparently feel that Stu is now the impediment. And here's what's going. This is all part of the civil war in amongst the baseball owners too. And it's why we're not going to have baseball at the start of the 2007 baseball season. It seems almost impossible to avoid a work stoppage for this reason. The owners are at war with themselves. I mean, the players are probably just going to sit there and go, hey, when you guys get it figured out, we'll be here. Because the owners, once again, want the players to fix their problems. And the players are like, no, you fix your problems, and then we'll negotiate with you. And the problem is that the Yankees and the Dodgers and what have you, do you know how much money last year the Rays got in revenue sharing? Last year. From that, the way the system is set up now and what have you, how much money went to the Rays? $60 million. And the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Mets have said, that's enough of that crap. No. No, we're done.
Well, and one of the things, and David, help me out. I don't have it in front of me. It's on me. But Manfred has a clause that he can restrict that money that's going to the Rays. There is something in the baseball bylaws that Manfred can restrict the amount of this money that's going to the Rays.
There's apparently two other faucets, Mark, that the commissioner has full discretion over. Two discretionary funds, if you will, that are separate from just the whole tax system and those that spend over it versus those that spend under it. And therefore, the money for those that spend over it goes to the people that spend under it. Okay, Manfred apparently can't do much about that, Mark.
Right, he can't, that $60 million is what it is. But like you said, there's two other funnels.
But remember, the CBA is going to end in 18 months. Okay, so what Manfred is telling Sternberg, and I'm sure he's also telling Bruce Sherman of the Marlins and the Pirates ownership,
is that listen, ownership, all of these teams that don't spend.
Right. Listen, the cash cows called the Dodgers, the Mets, and what have you is going to stop. They're honked because you ain't spending any of it on a product. You're putting it all in your pocket. That's not what this was created for.
And the one of the many reasons why there will be a lockout is that for those of you out there going, well, why don't they just put a salary cap in baseball? Believe it or not, you could probably get the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Mets and a lot of the big money clubs to agree to a salary cap. But with a salary cap comes a salary floor. And the Pirates, the Marlins, the Rays, the Royals, the Cleveland Guardians. I'm missing probably another half dozen teams, David.
Did you mention Vegas? You said the A's, right?
No, I did not. The A's.
I don't know if Seattle would. Seattle didn't spend a dime this offseason. Seattle, I don't know if Seattle would reach the floor. I mean, there's a good dozen teams right now that aren't close to the floor. The floor would have to be $150+ million payroll. And they wouldn't be close to it. And this just in, the players are not going to agree to a cap. Okay, they're not. They're not. You would have to come up with this. First off, here's very quickly, here's why. You'd have to open your books. Okay, to some degree, you'd have to open your books. As it is now in the NFL, it's a 50-50 cap. Sweet money doesn't count towards the players. There's all sorts of revenue streams that the players don't get a piece of. And the NFL's even opened up their books to some degree. Baseball's never opened up their books to the MLBPA. If you're going to agree to a salary cap, don't you have to open up your books? Don't you have to agree on the revenue? So it's not going to happen. That's a waste of time. What is going to happen is the owners are going to have a civil war amongst themselves. The big money and the little money, they're going to have it out.
And you throw in what's happened in the last couple of years with the regional cable companies, the FanDuel network now and the like, and that well's dried up for the teams. So you have such disparity between the haves and the have-nots among ownership that, as David said, players are going to sit back, let them fight this out and come with an agreement. Then they're going to have to negotiate with the players. And the players' union has been the strongest union of any union in sport.
By far. But I mean, this could get really complicated because you've got the county and the city, of St. Pete, and then their county, okay, in which they don't want to deal with Sternberg anymore. They're furious with him. They're like, the offer's on the table, sign it, or you're dead to us. Well, what if they could get a new owner? So would they agree to an extension of the March 31st deadline if they're promised a new owner? What if they're not willing to wait? What if they got to start breaking ground on this project? Because remember, the whole baseball stadium's what, 20% of the project? Okay, so they're like, no, we can't wait. Oh, okay. Because you got some people who want to force Sternberg out who are like, I'll take that offer. I'll take the land. That's a great offer.
It's an unbelievable business deal for Sternberg. The fact that he's messed around and not signed this is embarrassing.
Over $100 million bucks.
Truly.
Over $100 million because of the hurricane. Okay, over $50 to $100 million. It's disgraceful, and he deserves this. But now what may happen is St. Pete could lose the franchise to Tampa because the deadline could come and go. Baseball forces Sternberg out. Sternberg selling to someone in Tampa. And then they decide, well, we can get something done here. I mean, Mark, we all know, Tampa politicians and what have you haven't necessarily been willing to get in bed with Sternberg, but they might be very willing to get in bed with somebody else who's based out of
Tampa.
There we go. And then if by chance Tampa St. Pete can't work it out, you got Orlando, hand raised in the air, going, here, new ownership, what do you want? Because this is what we said we'll do. Is this acceptable to you? You hang out in Tampa St. Pete for the next 3 to 5 years, we'll build you this.
So everything seemingly on the table with the future of the Rays, from location that they play to ownership of the team, and spearheading the new ownership is Rob Manfred.
And it is interesting that of all the owners that they've decided they're going to draw the line in the sand with Sternberg and the Rays. Not with Sherman and the Marlins, not with John Fisher and the A's, okay? Not with the Jacobs family and the Guardians. They've decided that this disparity, timing is everything. And now that they're about 18 months away from a work stoppage and the owners all see what the number one issue is, and they've decided, you know who we're going to take this out on? Stu Sternberg.
And remember, the work stoppage is one thing that's upcoming. But the other thing, and maybe the most important thing for these owners, is expansion. And that's why Rob Manfred said they're in Tampa, St. Pete, or Orlando. Because there's no way that Rob Manfred is going to allow someone to come in and buy the Rays and move them to where they're going to get $2 billion for an expansion franchise. They're adding 2 teams to baseball. That's $4 billion split up between the owners. By the way, the players don't get 1 red cent of that. That's the owner's money.
That's $133 million an owner, by the way. I mean, hell, that could bankroll the Marlins for 2 years. Boom.
So that's the big story that's developed over the weekend in baseball and kind of hit ahead last night as national reports went a little bit larger than they had been the previous days. JP Peterson will talk to us about that coming up in a few minutes' time, but we will switch gears and talk some football. How about that, huh? Little football talk, little Steelers talk, little Ray Fittipaldo. That's next on Miller and Moulton.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Schefter is reporting that Aaron Rodgers has emerged as a quarterback option in Pittsburgh.
Yes. Yeah, Jake, they're not good enough. They're not a good 5-on-5 team, and defensively in front of their net, they're awful. And it needs to be fixed. So, yeah, he hasn't had his best year by any sense. Facing a lot of grade A chances to him and Quick, though. Rangers are bad defensively. It wasn't Mark, but just had a little fun with it.
Ray's all set. Ray said he was surprised. He thought the quarterback was going to get done yesterday. I had a feeling something was going to happen, thought it was the quarterback, and they surprised me for what it's worth.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us on this Monday. JP Peterson to talk the Rays and some Lightning. Remember, he's part of their television in between periods and post coverage. Andy Baskin, a little over an hour from now, we'll talk, well, a whole plethora of Cleveland sports, from Browns to Guardians to Cavs. Shelby Mast with our resident bracketology in a little more than an hour and a half. But joining us now on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs, Ray Fittipaldo, who covers the Steelers for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. You can follow Ray on X, Ray Fit with 2 T's, Ray Fit 1. Ray Fit in the number 1. Ray, it's David and Mark. Good morning. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Glad to be on with you.
Did this surprise you? Okay. Remember in August, they were reportedly, wanting to do something like this for Ayuk. Now, quickly, they give up a second-round pick for DK Metcalf and sign him to $30 million a year. Were you surprised?
Not really, because just going back to what you mentioned, last summer, last fall, they were pretty much in on every big-name receiver who was on the trading block or who was in free agency last year. I didn't think the Steelers would be in it for a first-round pick because I think Seattle was asking a 1 and 3 over the weekend. But when that price came down, and you get a guy like DK Metcalf who is only 27, just turned 27 in December, so you got him through your prime years, and you only have to give up the number 50, I think it was number 53 pick or 54 pick in the draft. That's pretty good. So once the trade compensation came down, I was not surprised at all.
Obviously, we really won't know until camp begins and maybe not till the season begins. But Pickens didn't seem to want to play every play. Now with Metcalf, how much do you think the dynamic of bringing in another one will help Pickens?
Well, that's going to be the interesting thing because George Pickens is in the last year of his contract. I'm not even 100% certain that they're not going to turn around and trade him this week or trade him on draft day. But if he is on the roster, I think having a guy like DK, there with him, I think maybe the hope is that, he would, become a little bit more mature, I guess is the way to put it. And, if that happens, then they would have 2 dynamic receivers for the 2025 season. Now, if that doesn't work out that way, then, it's going to be a completely different situation. But, yeah, I definitely think if they're both on the roster, I think George can definitely benefit from having a pro who's been doing it for 6 years and maybe teach him a little bit better how to be a better pro.
Are we to assume, since they haven't re-signed either Russ or Fields, that they really don't want either guy? Because you would have thought they could have done this deal already, right? Or is that a bad assumption?
Yeah. No, I think their intent was to sign Justin Fields, and Justin's agent. We'll see how it works out, but he wants to get the free agency. And, Justin had, I think, 3 offensive coordinators in Chicago, very, dysfunctional situation, I would say, out there. Now you come and play for Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith for 1 year. I don't know if it's smart for him to start over, especially in a major media market like the New York Jets, if that's where his landing spot is. So, if I was Justin Fields, I'd probably stick around in Pittsburgh, but he seems intent on wanting to hit free agency, and if that happens, I don't think the Steelers are going to stick around and, get into a bidding war. So go back to Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers is still out there. Those are the couple of possibilities if it's not Fields, but I still think their number one priority, if they can get it done, is to have Justin Fields come back as the quarterback.
If it's not Fields, what are you hearing about Rodgers? Because the rumors are starting to swirl that Rodgers and Pittsburgh perhaps are talking. Do you think there's any there?
Yeah, well, Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson, I don't want to say they didn't get along, but it wasn't a great working relationship. The Steelers want to run the ball. They want to play low-scoring games because they believe their defense is the best part of their roster right now. So, it was almost like Russ was micromanaged a little bit. I don't know how Russ, being a Super Bowl winning quarterback, I don't know if that was the best situation for him. So, listen, if Rodgers comes in, they're going to have to see a little bit more power to him. He's going to have to be able to check at the line of scrimmage. Fields and Wilson really didn't have a lot of freedom to check into the plays that they wanted to because, everything was very structured with Smith's offense. So we'll see how that plays out. You wouldn't think there would be a huge difference between what Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers can do at the line of scrimmage, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers would come here and would want to be restricted in the way the Steelers quarterbacks were restricted last year in terms of, the play calling, the checks, and, just the overall scope of the offense.
It seems as if Arthur Smith is not a good fit, that the Steelers offense needs to go 21st century. They need to open it up a little bit more. They got a couple of tight ends for the time being. They've got a couple of wide receivers. Arthur Smith wants to play 4 yards in a cloud of dust. I don't know that he's a good fit. Do you think he's a good fit?
Well, that's the type of offense that Mike Tomlin wanted to play when he hired Arthur Smith last year. And make no mistake about it, Smith would like to work with Justin Fields. They had a very good chemistry. The Steelers were 4-2 when Justin Fields was the quarterback last year. And that was a Mike Tomlin decision to go to Russell Wilson. That was not an Arthur Smith decision. So, if he had his druthers, Arthur Smith, he would be working with Justin Fields this year. If it's not Justin Fields and it's a guy like Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to be really curious to see how this plays out. If you go back and look at all the quarterbacks that Arthur Smith has played with, the Ryan Tannehill, not a dual threat like a Lamar Jackson, but a guy who can tuck it and get 8, 10, 12, 15 yards if you have to. That's what Justin Fields would be. You wouldn't be getting that with Aaron Rodgers. Now, could he change his stripes? Could he make it work? And, with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, a future Hall of Famer, I'm sure he'd like to think that, but, the fact of the matter is he's never worked with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers before.
Now that receiver is seemingly handled, when you look ahead to the draft and upcoming free agency, give me where the Steelers' biggest need is in your opinion. Obviously, we know the quarterback situation's got to get worked out. Take that out of the mix. Where do they need to go next?
They need to find some defensive linemen, and I think they will grab one in free agency and early in the draft. And another sneaky need for them is cornerback. The only starting corner that is under contract is Joey Porter. So they got to figure out what they're going to do there. Not a great free agent crop this year, but the one position that is a little bit stronger is corners. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers go out and grab a corner in free agency and maybe spend a little bit of money doing it.
Well, they've been spending all their money on one side of the ball. They probably need to spend some of it on offense, but you're right. They have needs along the defensive line and corner that have to be addressed. Ray Fittipaldo covers the Steelers, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Follow Ray on X, Ray Fit with 2 T's, Ray Fit and the number 1, Ray Fit and the number 1. Ray, thanks for making time for us. We appreciate it. We know you're going to be swamped the next week to 10 days, so good luck.
Thanks, guys. Always going to be on with you.
Ray Fittipaldo, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers works there. The line's not good enough. They don't have a premier running back. I don't see it, David. And
no, I think he works with Tomlin and doesn't work with most everything else around him. I'm not so sure this Arthur Smith fit is good, though. I am with Ray Fit. You got to get rid of Pickens. This Pickens DK Metcalf dynamic's not going to work. So one guy got paid and Pickens didn't. Yeah, might as well get rid of him now. JP Peterson's next.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Bless you.
Thank you. Golly. Well, if Sanders doesn't go by 6, I'll be curious how far he falls.
So the assistant coach of the softball team is a fan of the show.
Okay.
He's gonna try to get me in front of the marketing people at his place of business.
Okay. Well, that's
see.
good.
Yeah.
Well, then, schedule as many late practices as you want. Otherwise, got to reduce the practices and make them earlier, buddy.
Ooh, crap! I gotta.
Oh, man.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes before the top of the hour. Andy Baskin, 1 hour from now. We'll talk about the Browns and Myles Garrett reversing course. And while we've got Andy on the line, we might as well talk a little Guardians and Cavs. We'll do our bracketology in a little more than an hour with Shelby Mast, who's in, who's out, right before the Power Conference tournaments get underway. Joining us now, he's only been right, it turns out, for about a year and a half. He's JP Peterson, host of the JP Peterson Show, 10 to noon weekdays, FanStream Sports app, YouTube, X, FanStreamSports.com. You can follow JP on X at JP Peterson Show, JP Peterson Show. JP, it's David and Mark. Good morning. It's nice to be right, isn't it?
Good morning, David and Mark. Yes, it is. It's nice to beat the New York Times because my budget is just a tad smaller than theirs. So, yes, it's nice. And I guess now the Tampa Bay Times will no longer be referring to it as rumors of a sale, even though we've been reporting it for a long time. But that's fine. You know, we take our wins when we can get them. So it's all good. The main thing is, as now reported in the New York Times, The Athletic, and by Ken Rosenthal confirming our reporting, the commissioner is pressuring Stu Sternberg to get out. The other owners want him out. The sale is imminent, and whether it's going to be in St. Pete and Tampa is still a question mark. I still think it's Tampa, but at this point, the sale is imminent, and that's the most important thing.
That's the key part, JP. It's one thing to report that Sternberg is pressuring. I mean, Sternberg's getting pressured to sell by Rob Manfred, but you're saying that a sale is imminent. By imminent, how long do you think before the Rays will have a new ownership group?
Well, let's say this saga has been going on for 17 years, so it's 6 months imminent. I think it won't go longer than 6 months. I think it could be much quicker than that. I think they want some type of resolution before the deadline, March 31st. I don't think it'll happen before that, but I think there may be some type of understanding, a memo of understanding, that something's going to get done, because if this other group, and this is where it gets a little sticky now, there's now 3 groups that I know of that are bidding for the team. 3 groups. I will have one of the groups on my show today at 11:15. A local attorney, Carter McCain, is working with that group. So they will reveal themselves today and what their plans are, as much as he can reveal. He said that he still can't tell us who the principals are, but he'll give us some information about that group. So, yeah, we now have 3 groups, and I think it's going to happen within 6 months. I know Major League Baseball wants it to happen within the next couple of months so they can have the stadium deal on the board, and then they can move forward with expansion, which is what the other owners want to do. And we've talked about this many times.
Yep.
The other owners are sick and tired of Stu Sternberg. because he's been taking all their revenue stream money, revenue sharing money, not spending it on his players, beating them. I don't think they like that at all. They've been good on the field. That's not been an issue. But obviously the stadium and not being able to win a World Series. And I think if they did spend more money, the new ownership, and now both of these groups that I'm working at or know of will definitely spend more money, and I think the third group will as well.
So, Sternberg has argued in St. Pete that the Rays are not profitable without the revenue sharing. Would the Rays be profitable in Tampa from what you have been told over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is not rocket science, guys. There's 600,000 people within a 30-minute drive of Tropicana Field. It's mostly fish. They don't buy tickets. Downtown Tampa, there's 2.8 million people within a 30-minute drive. And when you take it out of the circle as a regional team and include Orlando, it's almost 7 million people. And obviously building something on the Tampa side closer to Orlando, where the Bright Line is going to be built and dumped right in next to the stadium if it were in Ybor City, it's a huge, huge change of demographics. And the biggest thing is the premium seating, guys, and what we talked about. That's the lifeblood of a baseball team. It's the premium seating. They have virtually nothing in Tropicana Field because the businesses found out early on that they can't give away the tickets during the week. And they're not going to spend, 60% of their budget, 60% of that when the luxury box is not going to be filled, or the premium seats. All the businesses reside in Tampa, and for the most part, not all, but a major chunk of the businesses reside in Tampa. That's why the premium seating at Steinbrenner Field at double and triple the price sold out in a week. A week. They're selling season tickets for $32,000 each in a week, and they're gone because this is the business hub of the area. So it's a no-brainer. The short-term money is in St. Pete, no question about it. The long-term money and maybe double and triple total revenues over 30 years is in Tampa. That's why Major League Baseball has always said they prefer Tampa, because that's where the revenue is, and then the other owners won't have to give revenue-sharing money to whoever the owner is. That's why they want it in Tampa.
So you mentioned there's three groups. You're having one group on your show. There's another, the way I understand it, that's Tampa. Is the third group the Orlando group, JP? Or are there three in Tampa to your knowledge?
Three in Tampa, to my knowledge. I am not aware of any solid Orlando group that has financial backing. I'm not aware of it. I know people have talked about it. I know Major League Baseball has no interest in Orlando, like none. I mean, come on. They can barely support the magic of the MLS. It's a transient community made mostly of tourists for the most part. They don't have any money in terms of an owner, and they've committed most of their public money to refab the Camping World Stadium and put some more lipstick on that pig. So I don't think Orlando's a serious player. I've always thought that that's a Stu Sternberg plant, and it's more about creating leverage.
Any of the three groups that you're hearing from even considering the St. Pete deal for the stadium, are all three hell-bent on putting the team where it should be in Tampa?
Well, according to Mark Tompkins' piece, Joe Malloy, who once ran the Yankees when he was married to Steinbrenner's daughter, Jessica, which he's no longer married to her, I've been aware of that group. That's not part of the two groups that I've been working with that have told me they want to build in Tampa. I'm aware of that group. DeBartolo is involved in that group. I don't know if they are the lead group. Now, they said that they're, according to Tompkins' piece today, they're fully committed to St. Petersburg. I don't know how that works in it, to be honest with you, because I know Major League Baseball does not want the stadium in St. Pete. Now, I think what it's about, I'm sorry, I'm starting to rain here in my car, so I hope you guys can hear me. What I think about the St. Pete is I'm not sure if the Malloy group is the lead group that's preferred by MLB. So I think this might be a move for them to try to get to the front of the line and get public support, at least from the folks in Pinellas and St. Pete, and maybe shake up Major League Baseball a little bit to get them back in the game. That's just my guess. But we'll see. We'll see.
JP Peterson, host of the JP Peterson Show, weekdays 10 to noon, FanStream Sports app, YouTube, X. All right. Follow him on X at JP Peterson Show, JP Peterson Show. All right. Did the Hurricane then, did Stu miss his opportunity to keep the team? Should he have just signed something 3-4 months ago? And now baseball is actually going to use the Hurricane to force him out? Or has this all just been a lot of noise and this is where we were going to get anyway?
Well, I think, in my opinion, it's based on talking with people who are involved in the negotiations in St. Pete and Pinellas. I don't think that Stu ever planned to build that stadium. I think it was a land grab from the very beginning because he doesn't have the money. He says he has the money. If he has the money, why hasn't he pulled the trigger on the deal? If there were going to be cost overruns that were going to cost him $200 million, why didn't he go ahead and start building? Because he doesn't have the money, and now he's saying the numbers aren't right. So the numbers within a year have changed so dramatically that he can't do the deal. That doesn't make any sense either. But whatever. I think what the Hurricane did was finally prove to Major League Baseball that Stu Sternberg has always been the problem. He's always been the problem. A deal could have been done in Tampa in 2018 in Ybor City, where he did the same thing, held a press conference, said we're here to stay, brought out all the renderings, the whole dog and pony show, and when it came down to putting up the money, he took his ball and he went home. He did the same thing to St. Pete, just like I told the mayor he was going to do. And it's always, he can't get the deal done. Now he's poisoned the water on both sides of the bay. Manfred's finally realized that he's been the problem. The other owners are really pissed, and this is what I've been reporting for a long time, and they want him out. And any of these groups, any three of these groups have the money to step up and get a stadium deal done. I think it's going to be in Tampa. Maybe this group now thinks they can get that money up front in St. Pete to get that deal done. We'll see. But I still think that in the end, if one of these groups is going to build a stadium, and I think it's about 75-80% that it's going to be in Tampa.
All right, let's switch gears in our couple remaining minutes. You do some stuff with the Lightning. They have been playing unbelievable hockey as of late, but the other team in Florida that's been to the Stanley Cup Finals the past couple of years made a big move with Marchand. I mean, just putting that rat on that team drives me absolutely crazy.
Oh, my God.
But it makes, they already were the best team in the East. How close is Tampa to Florida?
Listen, how the hell does Boston trade Marchand to the Panthers? Jesus, what are you doing? Oh, my God. I hate you, Boston. Listen, this is, I think it's awesome. Let's just start the Panthers, Lightning, Eastern Conference Finals right now. Nobody else has a shot. Not Washington, not Toronto. Let's just get it going and play 21-game series. This is going to be fun. I don't listen. Seth, don't forget about Seth Jones.
Yeah,
that they acquired as well. So the Panthers are freaking loaded. There's no question about it. But this Lightning team has been playing some great hockey the last two games, notwithstanding. The new guys have come in. It's been a little rough, but they'll get assimilated. I'm not worried about that. Bassey is back to being Bassey. He's the best goalkeeper on the planet when he's healthy. The Lightning are the second best scoring team in the league. They've just added more scoring, and they've added more experience and depth with bringing back Yanni Gord and Bjorkstrand. You know, Yanni's the Energizer Bunny. He gives you that third, fourth line energy and scoring. Bjorkstrand makes you deeper in scoring as well and makes him a better overall defensive club. So I think it's going to be great. It's fantastic. This is what you want, best on best. My question is, how does Marchand fit in that locker room? How does he? Is that going to be a seamless fit going into that Florida locker room where he's been so hated and they've had their battles? That'll be interesting because that's always important. Trades are great, and bringing people in that are skilled and can score are great. But sometimes you upset the apple cart in terms of chemistry, and who better to upset the apple cart in terms of chemistry than that freaking rat? So I hope that rat goes in there and becomes a rat and screws up their whole chemistry. That's what I think about the stinking Panthers. There you go.
I don't think it's going to happen, though, because apparently he gave him a list of teams that he would accept a trade to, and the Florida Panthers were the only team on it. So he wanted to be there, and I think that those guys will say, and you know how it is, those guys will look at him and go, we probably should just go outside and decide this once and for all, but great to have you, buddy. The Gord trade, he's an amazing face-off guy. In the playoffs, his value is going to be much more than it is these final 19 games. JP, congratulations on being right for the last year and a half. Have a great series of shows, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Yeah, always great to be on with you guys. You do a hell of a job. I really appreciate the platform. Thank you so much.
JP Peterson, host of the JP Peterson Show, weekdays 10 to noon. There's 3 different ways you can get them. FanStream Sports has an app. Download it. YouTube, X. Follow him on X at JP Peterson Show.
And the point you made earlier in the show with Bennett playing with Marshawn and the Four Nations, I think that eases a lot of it coming in. They played together, and I think that helps the whole thing come together in Florida. But boy, oh boy, need the Lightning to take down the Leafs so we get another Panthers-Lightning series.
Panthers right now have, a 4-point lead, so it would be Toronto and Tampa in the first round, and then, yes it'd be a second-round series, Florida and Tampa Bay, and as JP said, how about we do best of 21, winner goes to the finals.
Sign me up.
Miller and Moulton. Andy Baskin in about 45 minutes' time. Myles Garrett wanted out, never going to play for the Browns again. And now he's making more than most of the quarterbacks in the NFL. With Cleveland.
And he loves Cleveland so much that
Cleveland.
This new deal has a no-trade clause.
Right.
Imagine what that kind of money can do to change your mind. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, Tadalafil, and Viagra, Sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, No hassle, just real results, American-made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ambient, I don't believe he'll ever become the greatest center of all time. I don't think there's a chance. I don't think he could win 5 titles, and I don't think he'd be the best center of all time. They changed 2 rules in the game because of Wilt Chamberlain. He scored 100 points in a game. Greatest center of your lifetime? Perhaps. Why does everybody have to be the GOAT? Why can't we just accept a player for who he is? And he's going to go to this, and who gives a damn?
Wilt.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home. Miller and Moulton on this Monday, at least in the 239 and the 904. Final hour of the show in Lake City and surrounding areas, Charlotte County, Venice and surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So much has gone down in the sports world in the last 72 hours. I mean, the NHL trading deadline seems like it was forever ago. It was 3 o'clock on Friday. Those in and around the league say might have been the best quality trade deadline the league's ever had in terms of the quality of the players that got dealt, that they think it maybe was never higher. That, you had more deals in the past, more picks given up and, more minor deals, but just in terms of what was given up was a lot of really good steaks were traded when normally it's like the side fillet that gets traded. So,
and in the West, where no one really cares, both Colorado and Dallas got better, much better.
And they're scheduled to meet in the first round. And if that happens out West, that would be the equivalent of Florida and Tampa meeting in the first round in the East, in which you think these might be the two best teams in the West. And one of them's going out in the first round. And I wonder, Mark, by the way, now the Panthers have been hot. They've separated themselves from the Leafs. They're 4 points up. So, we think they're going to finish first and not have to play the Lightning in the first round. But there is some talk in the league that they should seed 1 through 16, or at least in both conferences, seed 1 through 8.
Yeah, I hate the idea of 1 through 16. I do not need to see a Vancouver-Florida first-round matchup. It makes zero sense. It does nothing to initiate rivalries in the sport. Think about just finally getting Tampa and Florida to play each other. Finally, the animosity between those two franchises in Florida. There is a true rivalry between those teams. J.P. Peterson 2 years ago would have never been screaming about Marchand being a rat and going down there. Wouldn't have happened. Tampa didn't take the Panthers seriously. That's happened because of the postseason and Florida's success. I'm fine with 1 through 8. 1 through 16 to me is a terrible idea. They did it before. It's a bad idea.
Power conferences getting underway this week. The power conference tournaments, I should say, getting underway this week. Big Ten, SEC, Pac-12. Just had to throw that one in there. Big East, Big 12, ACC. Although, man, what a down year it's been for the ACC. I went to Leonard Hamilton's final game at home Saturday. Andy Enfield, head coach of SMU. And so, went to, had lunch with Jeff Cameron. It was nice to see him again. Saw Andy. Took in the game. I hadn't been to the Donald Tucker Coliseum or arena in a couple years since my daughter got her master's actually there. I haven't been there in nearly 2 years. So
the Leon County Civic Center?
Right, which is now the right.
Okay.
I'm with you. I'm with you. It'll always be the Leon County Civic Center.
Is it still pitch black in there?
No, they've done a better job.
I did hockey games. That was the darkest venue that I ever worked.
Was Tallahassee the Tiger Sharks?
They were the Tiger Sharks.
Right. So when you were with the Blades and you were doing the games, it was the Everblades and the Tiger Sharks.
Yes. And I think they only were in the league for one more year when the team here started. I traveled with, in Raleigh and other cities to play them when I spent my minor league hockey run there.
Well, no, because the 25 years ago when you guys got started in the league, there was Pensacola, there was Tallahassee, there was South
Jacksonville,
Jacksonville, right? And then within like 5 or 6 years, it seemed like the Everblades and the 239 were the only franchise left in the Echo.
Correct.
So, but yeah, so I got my taste of March Madness. I will say I was riveted to the ASUN final yesterday. Knowing all the guys on the teams and what have you, I was riveted to it.
I was late. I forgot about it. I was watching Michigan State first, and then I started watching the Drake game, and Drake started pulling away from Bradley in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. And I'm like, oh, yeah, the A-Sun game's on, and I turned it on, and it was over. So I felt badly that I missed that because I do like the small conference finals, but Lipscomb kind of stiff-armed them from the look of things.
Well, it was with 6 minutes to go. It was a one-possession game. I mean, North Alabama actually had the second-to-last media timeout. North Alabama had a 1-point lead. Okay, but yeah, down the stretch, Lipscomb hit everything, and North Alabama didn't. And so the 1 seed won at home, and we're not going to have that. I'm telling you, the conference is making a huge mistake.
Colossal mistake, David.
It was a great scene on was it on ESPN2 or ESPN? It looked and sounded amazing for 2 hours and 10 minutes. And if you're running a conference, what more do you want than that? And you got lucky in that the two best teams in the conference were separated by basically a 2-hour drive. So North Alabama had 2,000 of their fans that packed the place. So when it was going back and forth for an hour and 45 minutes, I mean, you had North Alabama fans with chants. There were so many of them at the game. I think it's a huge mistake. All right.
But I mean, yesterday High Point won their conference tournament. Happened to just see highlights. The gym was packed.
Right.
That's atmosphere. Now, in case you don't know, the A-Suns moving their championship games to Jacksonville. They are going to play in what, a 14, 15,000 seat arena?
Yeah.
For the A-Sun that doesn't draw. I mean, the teams that draw put 4,000 in their building. It's a huge mistake. It'll look terrible on TV unless North Florida or Jacksonville are in the finals every year.
Right. And most years they're not.
And one of the things that you are trying to do in small conference basketball is to put your best representative in the NCAA tournament. It's your best chance for an upset for your 1 seed to get into the tournament. And by not giving the 1 seed home court advantage, you're taking away a huge, huge part of this for the team who's worked throughout the whole conference season to earn that home court advantage.
And you're listening to two guys who broadcast many an A-Sun tournament. I obviously more than Mark, but we did one together, and we did it in an empty gym. Both finals where gym was empty. They literally rounded everybody up, told them where to sit, literally brought fans behind the ESPN broadcasters and staged and open as if there was excitement there. And between the women's final and the men's final combined, there weren't 1,000 people that showed up for the 2 games.
So I don't know how long they did the contract for.
I don't either.
But it's going to look, when you watch next year, it will look terrible.
They need to get lucky and have one of the 2 Jacksonville teams in the conference make it deep runs in that tournament. And as we saw, you can get to the semis. If you don't get to the finals, nobody's showing up. Because Mark, remember, we did that semi when FGCU played the home team, Mercer, and it was standing room only, 4,000, incredible atmosphere. FGCU wins a close one. There were 300 people in the stands the next day. So we think the A-Sun spent 12 years getting it perfect, and now out of convenience, because the league offices are in Jacksonville, they're going to host the tournament there, and it's just not going to look good. Because there were a couple of the small conference tournaments, like yesterday, you had the Big South, the Missouri Valley, the Summit, okay? But you had some other small conference tournaments where they were neutral site, and the atmosphere was horrible. I don't know why anybody would do it. But anyway, the power conference tournaments, they get underway today. Mark, 2 weeks ago, Nebraska was in the NCAA tournament. Now they're not even in the Big Ten tournament. They lost 5 in a row to end the year, and they didn't make the Big Ten tournament that 15 teams apparently make, and they finished 16th. They finished 5th in the 5-way tiebreaker, and they're out.
Wow. That's a bad beat, David.
Yep.
That would qualify as a bad beat. They started losing right after their football program canceled the home and home with Tennessee to play Miami of Ohio and Bowling Green. Coincidence? I say not.
I will say it's
hard for me to feel badly for Nebraska right now, David.
I hear you. Outside of volleyball, okay, they're not getting a lot right there, unfortunately. Their basketball and football teams are not winning a lot of key games, that is for sure. North Carolina, don't even know if they can play their way in.
I don't think they can.
They're 1-11 in quad one games, something like that. 1-11. Did you see the amazing stat? And it's not a good one. Did you see the ACC AP stat of the year?
I did not.
So the SEC has all these ranked teams, and they have had all these games. I think it's been like 50 where they've had ranked teams playing against one another in the SEC. They've had so many ranked games. I mean, think of it. By the way, Alabama goes to Auburn and wins. And people are wondering now, is Alabama back alive for a 1 seed over the weekend? And Auburn losing 2 in a row to end the year. Anyway, so Mark, the SEC's had like 50 games involving ranked teams playing each other. Did you hear how many ACC games were played this year where both of them were ranked in the top 25 when they played each other?
Wow. I mean, obviously Duke was ranked all year. Clemson was ranked most of the year.
And Louisville got ranked about, mid-January, late January.
I would, if there were 50 in the SEC, David, I would think Card Sharks here, it's a very low number. I'd say less than 10.
Mm-hmm. Lower.
Less than 6?
Lower.
Oh my goodness. What was the number?
Over, under 1.5. What would you go?
I would go over.
The answer was 0. The ACC this year did not have a single game that at the time the game was tipped off, that both teams facing one another were ranked.
They need to fix this conference fast.
Yes. It is a stunning stat. And that's why, barring the unforeseen, they're getting 3.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has the look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Is Gary Williams dead? I didn't think he was. Gary Williams is 80. He just turned 80 last week. My God, I didn't think he died. I'd be shocked if they keep who's the other what not Pickens. Yeah, is it Pickens? Who's the other Steelers receiver?
Pickens.
Pickens. I'd be shocked if they kept him around. Tell you what, Cooper Kupp would interest the hell out of me if I was the Steelers. So Pat just bailed for tomorrow. So we'll have him like Thursday. Then he said he'll be back on his normal schedule. I don't know. We'll figure out that we want him Thursday or just book him on Friday. But
probably just do Friday, I would think.
Okay.
Everything okay getting people on video?
Yeah. Yep. Thanks for the tips. Yep. I was able to do the 2 clicks. Yep. Although technically it was 3 clicks, but phew, a lot of pressure, but I don't know how you've handled it all these years. Sonny, I think you are thinking of lefty. Golly.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Andy Baskin will join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time. He covers Cleveland sports. A lot going on. Myles Garrett traded. Oh, no, wait. I mean, signed to a long-term biggest money extension ever for a non-quarterback. Given a no-trade clause. What?
Hello, Cleveland.
I mean, what is he going to become? The new spokesperson for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? He's going to be in all the,
Progressive ads and
Cleveland Rocks.
right?
I mean, my goodness, he was done. Get me out of here. I want to win, for goodness sakes. It's funny what $40 million a year will do.
Yeah, Haslam wouldn't meet with him.
Nope. Deal with the GM. GM.
Or he told the GM to pay him.
Yeah, that's what his agent said. Well, if you want him to stay, gonna have to pay him more money than anyone else ever who's not a quarterback. And the Browns said, okay. I mean, Mark, you have to admit, the Browns have had no trouble throwing around bad contracts. So if you're the agent, you're like, well, hell, I got to get my client one of them bad contracts.
They've thrown a few of them around.
Yeah,
Not just the Deshaun Watson contract, which will rank first as the all-time worst contract in the National Football League.
Maybe in the history of the National Football League, when you consider the picks they gave up to get him and then the contract, which they've then renegotiated twice to kick all that dead money further down the road so they can't walk away from them in 2 years. It's ridiculous.
It's asinine. It really is.
It's stunning at how bad this trade is.
But one of the things I'd like to get to, there are two small things I'd like to get to.
Okay.
One is if we still did a poll question, we missed today's because today is National Napping Day.
Oh.
Will you take a nap today?
Absolutely.
My daughter, this is going to shock you, David, doesn't have school today.
Well, I mean, she went about 3 solid weeks in a row, right?
Right.
So obviously needs some time off.
Exactly. So I don't know if I'll be able to sneak one in today, playing Mr. Mom at home for the rest of the day, but I'll give it my best shot. The other one we mentioned briefly earlier in the show, and I know not all of you are big golf fans, and I get it, but Arnie's tournament, the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill.
Yep.
We have seen dramatic finishes. Tiger making that spectacular putt on 18 to win it, where he's won many times. And it's a beautiful golf course. Always usually has a little drama to it, the way they finish. And NBC yesterday missed the most important shot of the tournament.
Yes, they did.
Russell Henley was the winner. The big moment was on the par 5 16th. When Henley, just off the green in 2, chipped in for an eagle 3 to leapfrog Colin Morikawa, he would end up closing him out and winning the tournament. NBC was in a commercial when Henley chipped in.
Of course they were, because that's
When
all
they-
they're interested in.
When they came back from commercial, the ball was about halfway between Henley and the hole. And you watched the ball roll in, and if you weren't paying any attention, you didn't know who hit it. It was the second time in 30 minutes that they missed a key shot from Henley, who was the only player chasing Morikawa that had a realistic shot. Jason Day was close, blew one in the water when things got pressing. There was a couple other guys close, but they couldn't make putts. But Henley, I believe, on 12 or 13, had about a 20-foot birdie putt. And they came back from break and they said, Russell Henley a moment ago. Well, how could you miss that? There's only 2 golfers worth showing right now. But as David said, as long as NBC can get their commercial breaks in, that's all that matters. They've always done it in NASCAR. They do it in golf. It's pathetic.
And one has to wonder, is there any way for there to be any backlash? I mean, they've got a long-term deal. I mean, can the PGA Tour literally legislate how many minutes of commercials you're allowed to take?
Well, NBC is claiming they took the same amount of commercial breaks, but what they have done now is they're taking longer commercial breaks instead of more breaks, if you will.
Right.
They've added time to it. So now they're missing shots.
Exactly. Exactly, which is asinine. I mean, I'll say it again, and I'm not defending them. And first off, they haven't done a golf tournament in 6 years. So even golf people may forget what a golf broadcast on Fox looked like. 97% of the shots on Fox were live. And I can attest to that. Because I literally, in standing next to Joe Buck, would hear the producer and his associate producer debating where to go next. And the associate producer, whose name was Jesse, he was the genius in this respect. He knew the pace of play for every golfer. He was a total golf nerd. And I can't tell you how many times he would say, no, we can get to him. Go to this one. He'll hit first. Okay. And the producer would go, are you sure? Because I can't miss his shot. And Jesse would go, no. Go to him on 13. I'm telling you, he'll be done before so-and-so on 11 even hits. And 99 times out of 100, he was right. And occasionally we had to show something on commercial break, or coming out of commercial break, in which we would say only a moment ago. But it was never with anybody who was in contention. And that's why, as a golf fan sitting home, Mark, I've always screamed and yelled, and CBS doesn't do it nearly like NBC. I'm telling you, over half of what you see on Sunday is on tape. Now, they show it 30 seconds later, but I am telling you, NBC tapes everything and then shows it to you.
And it really doesn't affect your viewership of an event if they have it all and they're lying to you about when it happened. But when they come back from commercial break and you're watching a ball go in the hole, which was the most important shot of the tournament, you would think there'd be a little backlash.
The one event from the weekend, Mark, in which there is going to be some backlash, and I am not a fan. I don't do the UFC. But ESPN is wrapping up, what is it, year 7 of a 7-year exclusive. They handle the pay-per-view for UFC now.
Right.
This is year 7. Well, apparently they keep screwing them up, Mark. And they just had one over the weekend in which right up until the start of the main event, people had great difficulty connecting. And apparently UFC has completely had it. And ESPN has like 5 more weeks in their exclusive negotiating window. And apparently the UFC won't even take their calls. They're like, we are so done with you guys. Can't get rid of you fast enough.
Be interesting where they go. I mean, that is the dominant pay-per-view viewing out there. I mean, there's no one that's generating the dollars of pay-per-view that they are, because they have so many of them.
Well, what's the league that moved to Peacock in the last couple years? Is there a soccer league or something that moved to Peacock? I know the MLS moved to Apple, but there's even debate. And remember, I do not watch the UFC, but apparently Peacock paid top dollar for this product, and there's no pay-per-view. If you know what I mean. You just have to sign up for Peacock, but you don't have to worry about the whole pay-per-view problem. So even like the Christmas games on Netflix, apparently it's the EPL. Okay. So Mark, the quote I saw from the UFC was basically like, listen, we either need to find a new pay-per-view partner, or we have to get somebody to offer us so damn much money that we don't even do pay-per-view anymore.
They'll have a pay-per-view partner.
I think they will.
And I'd put my money on Netflix. Miller and Moulton. Let's talk some Cleveland sports. Hello, Cleveland. Next.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 427-3441 today.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit SleepTreatmentDirect.com. That's SleepTreatmentDirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Sonny, what's your definition of very well? How many viewers? Over under 1 million. All right, just curious, for those who live in the 239 who are in the Twitch chat room, how many of you went to the soccer match in Naples?
I'm guessing none because they would have said something by now. That's my guess.
Partly why I'm asking, but
The new soccer team in Naples, they're League One of whatever it is. Yeah, baby. There were 4,600 people at the soccer match on Saturday night. It was sold out. Naples FC against whoever the hell they played. Paradise Coast or whatever that venue is there. I do not know, EB. It's the level League One or whatever. I do not know. That was their first game. Went to voicemail the first time.
Okay. I'll say hi to him for us, Logic Man.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Shelby Mast expected to join us then. We will quickly go through the who's in, who's out, heading into the Power Conference tournaments. And then there are very few bids really up for grabs once you get to this week. We'll see if any mid-majors where they're hanging on Shelby's bubble and who can still play their way in the Power Conference tournament and how many wins do they need to do so. Shelby Mast in a little more than 20 minutes time. He's getting ready for his workday to start. 10 to 2 weekdays on 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. He's Andy Baskin, part of the Baskin and Phelps. You can follow Andy on X at Andy_Baskin, Baskin. Andy, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How you been?
Hey, how are you guys?
Well, we're good. We're kind of stunned about this Myles Garrett news and then the contract. I mean, did this come out of left field?
A little bit. I mean, I was settled in for the fact that I didn't think that Myles was going to show up for camp, and I thought this thing could lead into the season because I think that, there was a lot to be learned here, especially when it comes to Jimmy Haslam and the way he was, as of last week, he wasn't going to take a meeting, and he said, go talk to Andrew Berry, the general manager. I think there was a lot learned in the Baker Mayfield situation that has played out into this one.
And at the end of the day, if you want to really keep someone, sometimes you have to pay him. And Myles Garrett all of a sudden loves Cleveland, a no trade clause, and lots of money.
Yeah, I think the Browns had steadfast held to the notion that they weren't going to trade him and they were going to make him the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. And when it was all said and done, that's exactly what happened. And, Myles did some – I just don't know where Myles was getting his advice from on doing the media tour at the Super Bowl and saying, I want out of Cleveland, and they're not going in the right direction. So I'm assuming that was Clutch Sports, which was it was LeBron's group that was telling him to go do these interviews and tell people you're not happy because maybe you'll drive up the price for what you're going to get. I don't know how that played out. Myles didn't look it wasn't a good look for Myles because in the beginning, I think all the fans were like, hey, Myles, we totally get where you're coming from and we support you. And, this organization's a mess and they only won 3 games. And then Myles continued to talk. And the more he talked, the more fans were like, what are you doing, Myles? You made your peace. You want to get out of here. We get it, but you probably should chill out at that point. So I was kind of surprised that the news broke last week that it said that, that Jimmy Haslam didn't want to negotiate with him. And then all of a sudden now, he has a record-breaking contract.
Was this a smart decision by the Browns, though? I mean, he's 29. He still has 2 years left on the deal. And then the 4-year extension kicks in when he's 31, 32, 33, 34. It's not that you can no longer be a really good player, but I mean, was this a smart decision by the Browns, or with the mess that their cap is, Andy, should they have actually used this to reset and trade them and get the 3 first-round picks that I think Green Bay or Detroit would have given you and gone that route? I'm just curious if Browns fan actually is going to be excited about this.
So I said the whole time that the conversation for Myles Garrett starts with 3 first-round picks. But the more I had that conversation with more people, no one was giving 3 first-round picks up. And, for the Browns to pick up Detroit's first-round picks or Green Bay's first-round picks, which are near the end of the first round, I don't know what that would have done for the Browns. I think there are 2 outside elements in this that had big factors. One, obviously, is Deshaun Watson's contract is still haunting this team. It will haunt this team at least until June 1st, and then we'll see what happens after that. And then, they'll probably go one more year. He'll be on the roster, probably won't see the field, and then they'll eat the money on the other side of it. I think the other side of this, too, is the way Baker Mayfield's contract went down, and that, Jimmy Haslam really wanted Baker to stay after they realized that Deshaun said he wasn't coming the first time. And, then I think the Browns were like a little bit of humble pie because they probably, when Deshaun said no thank you at first, and then Baker said, forget it. I'm not coming back to you. You don't want me and I don't want you, and I don't blame Baker on that. But I still think that those are events that haunted them, and they weren't going to walk down that road again, and they knew they wanted Myles. And, it's hard. You want to give up arguably the best defensive player in the NFL? No, because that means you're totally going backwards. And this team, a year ago they were good. Last season they were horrible. So we'll see how things roll after having the number 2 pick in the draft this year.
What do you think they do with that number 2 pick, Andy?
It depends on how they feel about the quarterback situation. If Cam Ward's still there, I kind of have a feeling after the combine and where they are in this situation that if Cam Ward's there, I don't know how they can go past him and let him go. I would love to see them pick up Abdul Carter. That's what I want. And Travis Hunter isn't bad. But, when we talk about this draft and how weak the quarterback situation is, there's a lot of middle-of-the-road quarterbacks that who knows what they're going to be, and you're going to have to guess. I mean, the draft is all who knows what they're going to be anyway. So I don't know. I think the safest play for the Browns is Abdul Carter out of Penn State. You put him on the other side with Myles, man, it's going to be hard to move the ball against the Browns.
No doubt about that. Andy Baskin, we're talking the Cleveland sports scene, which is lively to say the least. He's part of Baskin and Phelps, middays 10 to 2 on 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Follow Andy on X at Andy_Baskin, Andy_Baskin. Well, we like to, when we have out-of-town guests, also get a spring training baseball report. The Guardians, who have been dominating the Central for a while now, is it the same old, same old? They've got a lot of pitching. They don't have enough hitting. Might be good enough to win that division. Probably not good enough to do much more than that.
Well, we say that every year, and then last year, look what they did. They took the Yankees. They were competitive with the Yankees all the way down the stretch there. I don't know. I don't know we're about to find out what Stephen Vogt, the manager, is all about throughout the season, because everything he touched last year turned to gold. What is the rotation going to look like this year? It's not as slam dunk as it usually is. Tanner Bybee will lead it. Gavin Williams looked good again yesterday, but there are still question marks about the rest of the rotation. Offensively, they brought in Carlos Santana. They let Josh Naylor go. Bo Naylor's, they've got high hopes for him to take it to the next level at catcher. You still have a great closer in Emmanuel Clase. They don't know what they're going to do at second base. Is it going to be Juan Brito? Is it going to be Gabriel Arias? And then, they've got the number 1 pick in the draft from last year, Travis Pizzana, in the pipeline. So, in the pipeline, I should say. So, and who knows how long till he comes up. So, there are a lot of questions, not a lot of power in the outfield again. So, they walk into the season the same way they did last year. I think expectations are middle of the road for the Central, but last year we all thought that. Look what they did. So, you never know what's going to happen with this team. That's the fun of the Guardians.
Well, and you're right. We don't know what the bottom of the rotation looks like, but if it pans out the way that it could, their pitching should be elite. And if they've got to go get a bat it seems that they'll have enough arms to probably go acquire one if that's the move they want to make midseason, isn't it?
Yeah, I could record exactly what you said, and we'll say that 10 times around the trade deadline, and once again, nothing will happen. Or they'll be like, somebody will get hurt, and then they'll be like, oh, look at this. Tyler Freeman was hitting great before the season started, and he got hurt. And then, oh, look at this. All of a sudden, it's just like making a trade. We hear that every year around the trade deadline, where you think that they'll go out and try to get a bat that they're going to be able to bring in. Sometimes they'll make that move right at the beginning of the season or at the end of training, spring training. So I have my hopes open more a little bit towards that now than I do towards the middle of the season. But they're steadfast in what they do. They believe in what they're doing. They're consistently winners. But they just can't win the whole ball of wax. And that's what the problem is here in Cleveland. It's always like that.
How much of the Kool-Aid are the fans drinking with the Cavs? Like, do they think that this Cavs team is good enough to win the East?
Yes, they believe it. And I don't believe it's Kool-Aid. This team is really, really good. And they're deep on the bench. If you watch the game last night, I mean, you can just see that like a guy like Max Strus can come through in the end. I'm tired of people dumping on the Cavs. They're good. This is a good team with a lot of depth. They're playing well. Do they do some things that might drive you crazy every once in a while? Yeah, but I mean, they have another 14-game winning streak. Everything they've been able to do this year has turned to gold, and I think they're going to be strong. If they don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I'll be shocked. Yeah, and I do believe that they can get to the NBA championship. I do. This is a damn good team.
Andy, how big was a couple weeks ago, week and a half ago, they won on the road at Boston. And there was, to me, regular season games don't mean a hell of a lot often. I thought that one did. Winning in Boston, I still think this Cavs team had a Boston problem. Going into Boston and beating them, I just think that's important. Do you?
I did too, because I think it sets the tone for, no matter how many starters are playing for Boston that night, that the Cavs can beat you. And if you don't play your best game against the Cavs, there's the opportunity to lose. The other thing that I think Boston learned, and maybe they got bored with their big lead early on in that game, but they can't slow down against the Cavs. They just can't do it. And, I go back to last night's game for the Cavs where, against Milwaukee, a team that, with Giannis, do they have the depth that Boston has? No, but I just think that teams can't sleep on the Cavs, because even if they get down by 15, 20, and it's a horrible way to live in the world of basketball where you're getting down all that way and then you got to fight your way back and then fight through it. Last night was just a typical Cavs game all season long where, they play, they'll be up by 2, they'll be up by 4, and then boom, they hit the afterburners like they did in the fourth quarter last night. So they're good. I would not bet against the Cavs right now.
Yeah, if it's not a Cavs-Celtics Eastern Conference Final, I think we'll all be shocked. The Knicks and Bucks are good teams, but they're not in Cleveland and Boston's league, that's for sure. Andy Baskin and Phelps, middays 10 to 2, 92.3 in Cleveland. Follow him on X at Andy_Baskin, Baskin. Listen, all the best to you and the family and your teams. And, well, you're going to have a fun few months. We know that. Hopefully we can talk to you down the road.
Plenty to talk about. Always happy to talk to you about it, too.
Andy Baskin, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. And I don't know how many times we've had to touch upon all three teams also. Usually it's been we jam in some Guardians or Cavs talk with our Browns talk, but very rarely have we. I mean, think about it. Guardians went to the LCS, and, Cavs are the best record in the East, if not all the NBA right now.
And the Guardians, again, picked to finish second or third in the division. I've seen some of the fan graphs. They've got them with 77 wins. I might take an over on them right now, David.
Hold on a second. They're over under 70.
No. I saw the fan graphs where they did the different models. I saw them between 77 and 85, 3 different projections, but the lowest had them at 77 wins, which is forcing me right now to check their over under, David.
Now, I think all 4, Cleveland, Kansas City, Detroit, and Minnesota, aren't all 4 of their over-unders within like 3 or 4 wins of each other?
Cleveland's 82.5.
Oh, you got to bet that over.
Don't you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, if you're going to lose that bet, don't you lose it betting the over with that pitching staff in that division?
Yep. Because also, by the way, I think, Detroit had a lot go right last year. And do they have enough offense? Minnesota couldn't upgrade because of their ownership and TV deal issues. And of course, they're going to have injuries because they're the Twins, and the key players they count on can never stay healthy.
Both the Twins and Tigers over under 83.5.
Cleveland's over under is below theirs?
It is.
That's surprising to me.
I mean, one game, but it is.
Now, I have to admit, I might pick Kansas City to win the division, but I have a hard time picking Cleveland for anywhere below second because I feel as if I know what I'm going to get with the Guardians.
Royals 82.5. So just think about it. The 4 teams in the Central, not named the Chicago White Sox, are separated by 1 game in projections and over-unders on the Hard Rock app right now.
And I don't think that fans of teams in that division can count on what happened last year when 3 teams made the playoffs out of that division.
Although, as we talked about earlier in the show, with what's going on with the Yankees pitching staff
and Orioles,
and certainly changing how we view that division. And if you're a Boston Red Sox fan right now, just sit there and be quiet and hope you get to the end of the spring with no injuries.
Garrett Cole, by the way, Tommy John surgery. So not only out for all of this year, but mid-30s. We'll see when he comes back next year and if he can ever look like Garrett Cole again. So that's a big deal. Big injury. And there's been a lot of them. Yeah, it's awful. Just awful.
Hate to see that happen.
And neither one of us are Yankee fans, but that just sucks. Want to see the good players be healthy, have great years.
And he's a great pitcher, and he's a competitor. He's what we like in baseball. The way he plays the game.
Right.
He's a player, if you know what I mean.
And he's the number 1 starter. Give me the ball, and I want to go deep. Right. Miller and Moulton. Hey, thanks for listening. The bonus hour's next.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I can't, Axe. I think that he has been blackballed from the sport. I really do. I'm not saying someone shouldn't sign him, but I don't see. I think the sport has blackballed him. Ben and Jerry's, their s'mores is delicious. But Ben and Jerry's is my go-to brand. There's another one that's not in the small containers called Tillamook that's pretty darn good too. The toxins that are going to come out of me when I get on that treadmill today are, there's going to be people scared in that room.
Is Shelby on hold?
Oh, crap. No.
No, it's okay. We're good. That is funny.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. Thanks so much for being with us. We've already had a jam-packed show. Ray Fittipaldo talking Steelers, JP Peterson talking the Rays and how Major League Baseball wants Stu Sternberg out. And JP's been saying this for months. And he's been saying the team's going to end up in Tampa. He may end up being right. And we just had Andy Baskin on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Shelby Mast now kind enough to join us. He is the Bracket Wag, bracketwag.com. Follow him on X at bracketwag, W-A-G. Shelby, it's David and Mark. Good morning once again. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
Well, we're good. Let me ask you this question. You've put them on the no longer considered for an at-large bid. SMU's got 22 wins. If, they'll play the winner of Florida State, Syracuse. That doesn't count. Okay, they get a win against them. Then they're lined up to face Clemson and Louisville. And if they were to win those, obviously they get to the ACC final and most likely Duke. But if they can get quad one wins in the ACC tournament for the first time this year, does that give them a snowball's chance, or did that loss against the Noles crush them?
I think the loss crushed them, but there's an outside possibility that they would relook at them if they got those 2 wins versus Clemson and Louisville. But it's going to take dominant performances, I think, before they really consider it.
Just curious, as I was watching the Missouri Valley and Drake started pulling away, I was happy for him. If they would have lost that game, in your estimation, would they have still gotten a bid?
I think so. Excuse me. The bubble is so weak this year that I almost put I've got Ohio State in, but that's just a placeholder. I'm not comfortable with them being in. They have very average record, and Drake has been superior, and they've gone 5-0 in quad one. So I think that would have been enough to get him there.
Arkansas and Indiana are probably in, aren't they? I mean, they've gotten some big wins down the stretch. It's tough. Even if they were to suffer early defeats in their conference tournaments, Shelby, aren't the Razorbacks and Hoosiers in?
I think so. There's no guarantees because there could be some bid fees, and that would knock them down. But I think they've done enough, and that they're going to be in.
Colorado State beat Boise over the weekend. Great win for Colorado State. Was it enough to get them in, or did they just take Boise out and kept themselves out as well?
I think the latter. That Colorado State has had a nice year, but nothing spectacular. Boise State really hurt themselves with that loss. There's a slim chance that the committee still puts one, I don't think they'll put both, but one of them in. But I think they're done.
How many bids do you think, since the bubble is so weak, how many bids do you think can be stolen this week? Or is your bracket Monday of the final week of the regular season, if you will, is the concrete a little harder this year than it normally is?
I think so. We've got enough teams in now. I think there'll be 1 or 2 bid thieves that are kind of a surprise and probably that have been lingering around. What I'm really interested to see is the Big West Conference. I think they could be a 2-bid league if both teams, Cal Irvine and Cal San Diego, get to the finals.
Does Cal Irvine have to win it for it to be a 2-bid league, or can they just get to the finals, and can that be enough to take an Ohio State off the last 4 in line?
For me, I think they just get to the finals, and that's enough. I don't know for sure what the committee thinks, but I would much rather a second-place Big West against a 10th place Big Ten.
He shall be Mast, the Bracket Wag, bracketwag.com. Follow him on X at bracketwag, W-A-G. There's no way for more than 3 teams in the ACC to get in, right? Unless they beat Duke. I mean, I just showed you the lower half of the bracket where SMU, in theory, can line up Clemson and Louisville. But that means the only quad one team in the top part of the bracket is Duke. I mean, doesn't it mean Carolina or Wake or somebody on the top half? Don't they have to beat Duke to have a chance?
I think so, and that wouldn't guarantee them a spot either. The only thing that guarantees them a spot is winning the title. And I don't have confidence that either one of those teams can do it.
Right now, you have Duke, Florida, Auburn, and Houston on your one line. Who's the first overall seed in your estimation?
It's Auburn. I don't think they can do anything to fall from the number one overall. They might fall to number two if they lose early in the Southeast Conference if Duke wins the ACC. But other than that, I don't see anybody else up there.
All right. Who's the last one? Is there any of those ones vulnerable to you?
I've got Houston as my last one and Alabama as my first 2 seed. Alabama did beat Houston, but it's taken on a few more losses down the stretch. But they've had such a big-time schedule. And I think if Houston loses early and Bama makes a run, that could do it. That's the only option I see.
When you look at the Big 12, obviously Houston's going to get a 1. Any chance for anybody else, Texas Tech, Iowa State, to end up on the 2 line?
On the 2 line, there's an outside chance, but I feel better with them on the 3 line, and I think the committee will too.
Are we sure St. John's is a 2 seed? Listen, I love Pitino. Love Pitino. And they are doing to the Big East what Houston had done in previous years to the conference that they were in. But, man, Shelby, you can watch St. John's play, and for a half an hour, they cannot make a shot. I mean, are we sure they're a 2?
No, they're the shakiest 2 out there. We did our mock committee meeting. This was the spot where we had long discussions. I went ahead and went St. John's the 2 line. The committee chose Kentucky. And I think Texas Tech might be in the conversation there, but it's going to be between St. John's and Kentucky. And I give St. John's the edge because of the record.
The 8-9 line's interesting because you have some blue bloods. You have UConn. I don't know if Gonzaga's a blue blood, but we've seen them in the tournament so often. When you look at the 8-9 line, is there a team that has been trending up that could potentially scare a 1 in the second round?
Haven't been trending up, but they're still kind of a scary team, and that's UConn. That's back-to-back titles. You can't just dismiss them because they had an off year. I would not want to see them in the second round, but other than that, I think everybody else is beatable.
You've got Memphis as an 8. That seems like a pretty good 8 seed to me.
Yeah, that's a mistake. They're supposed to be on the 7 line. Still good, but I think they're better than that. But if you go by the metrics, and the NCAA, the net is their baby, and a team ranked 48 in the net, I just can't see it being ranked or seeded that much higher.
By the way, in the region you have, Memphis, New Mexico would be an 8-9 game. That'd be a terrific game, and the power schools would love that they're playing each other to get one of them out early. That would be tremendous.
Yeah.
Shelby, as always, appreciate you doing this. Respect your work from afar, and hopefully we can talk again before the brackets come out.
Thank you very much for having me.
Shelby Mast, he is the Bracket Wag, bracketwag.com, bracketwag, WAG.com. Follow him on X at BracketWag.
So Florida and Auburn, according to Shelby, are 1 seeds. Alabama and Tennessee are 2 seeds.
Now, for what it's worth, Shelby has Bama as the 2 seed in the East against Duke, and Tennessee is the 2 seed in the West against Houston. Auburn would get the South, and Florida gets the Midwest. Can I get just a little basketball porn here? Okay. I'm just throwing this out there. We know what the committee likes to do. The committee likes storylines. Mark, right now in bracketwag.com, St. John's is a 2. Kentucky's a 3. Do you put them in the same region for a Sweet 16 matchup?
Hell yes.
Oh, no, wait, it gets better, Mark. In bracketwag, Louisville's a 7. Do you have Rick Pitino and St. John's play Louisville in the second round? You know, the school that fired him, that took down his banners, that he would light on fire if he could personally. Do you have St. John's play Louisville in the second round? The winner plays Kentucky in the Sweet 16.
Gave me goosebumps.
Tell me they're not going to do that. Tell me they're not. I mean, maybe they make Louisville a 6, so they play what? Kentucky in the second round in a 3-6, and then that winner plays St. John's? I'm telling you, where these teams are being naturally seeded, tell me the committee is not going to go, put them together.
They've always had a sense of humor when it comes to this tournament, David. The committee, many times, has understood what Miller and Moulton have been saying for nearly 20 years. It's a television show.
There we go. Tell me that's not going to come up in the room. Hell, for that matter, Richard Pitino in New Mexico could be a 7. Okay? What? You put him up against his dad in the second round? New Mexico could be in an 8-9. They could also be in a 7-10.
And you got teams like Michigan who, when they're on, can play really well. I mean, the Big Ten teams that are 4, 5s, and 6s can all get it going for a game. Purdue and Illinois and Michigan. Not to mention UCLA, who's gotten hot here lately. That rant worked, by the way, just for the record.
He had a great quote over the weekend. He was basically asked, why does he coach him so hard? And he said, do you really think if I ask please and ask nicely that I'll get them to play defense the way they play? Are you crazy? No, you got to get on them.
And you got to stay on them. That's college hoop. Miller and Moulton. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has the look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
But they won't, Sonny, they won't put conference matchups against each other in the first round or second round typically, even with all those SEC teams.
They're going to try hard. It's going to be difficult to avoid this year. They may get some second round matchups, but they're going to try hard to avoid it. But I had to go there. I had to go there.
Oh, yeah.
And I love Louisville. All right. Because of Pitino. Well, actually, I love Louisville because of Denny Crum and Darrell Griffith and Billy Thompson and Milt Wagner. But I would be rooting for Pitino to shove it up Louisville so badly. I think Pitino would give years off his life if he ends up playing Louisville to beat him. I think he'd have a hard time. He'd be okay losing to Mark Pope in Kentucky. I don't think he could live with himself if they lost to Louisville. Did you hear that?
Yeah, what was that?
That was thunder.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, we've had storms all night, all morning. You guys?
Nothing. It was supposed to rain later this morning. I don't know what's going on. Hazy.
Wow.
Supposed to rain here in the next couple of hours, which hopefully it's not until after the show because I did not put the cover on my grill last night. I would like to not to get rain down.
Well, you got to race out of there then because according to the phone, Mark, there's a 95% chance of rain in the 10 a.m. hour.
Exactly. That's what I'm seeing too.
So you just need it to start after 10:15 or whatever. Preferably 10:45. Man. They're going to town out there. Yeah, I got to admit, Yinzer, I think it's a bad fit, even though I said that's where I thought he'd end up because of Tomlin, but not with that offensive coordinator. I think it's Arthur Smith's going to have to loosen up. Well, Rodgers has to go to the first place that gives him a job. I mean,
Kind of supposed to rain all afternoon, Logic Man, according to what I'm seeing. Till about 4. We shall see.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton Miller_Moulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Final thoughts. Can't do any more system plays, right? We're done.
Done.
Can't get an unranked home team against a ranked road team, right? Neutral
Correct.
sites the rest of the way. So,
and if it's the other way with the conferences that give teams home court advantage, obviously,
right,
the better team's going to be playing at home.
So we talked about this very early in the show, but with 4 guests and covering a lot of ground, and the teams involved are in the Pacific time zone. So, but can we go back to this Geno Smith trade? Were the Raiders brilliant or foolish, giving up a 3rd-round pick for a 35-year-old quarterback who's not a great quarterback, who's a pretty good quarterback? He's a placeholder quarterback. He's gotten Seattle to 9 and 10 wins. But, I mean, if you think about it, Mark, what have the Raiders done here? They hired Pete Carroll, and we applauded it because we said, hey, they got to first thing they have to do is get decent. Well, now they bring in Geno Smith. So they have a very good coach.
Let's go backwards before Geno. They locked in Max Crosby.
They did.
I mean, but that's important. His name was out there being floated around for trades. They brought in Pete Carroll. They said, we're going to be serious. Max, we're going to be serious. Here's your money. Now Geno.
So they have competent coaching, a competent quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, but he's competent. I mean, this ain't Gardner Minshew and whatever. This ain't Anthony Richardson with the Colts. I mean, Geno Smith's solid. You think Tennessee would take Geno Smith right now?
100%.
You think Indianapolis would? You think the Jets would?
Who knows what the Jets would do, David?
Well, that's true. But I'm just curious your thoughts. The 3rd-round picks, top 5 or so picks in this year's draft in the 3rd round. So they're giving up a top 70 selection to Seattle for Geno Smith. In the final year of a deal, by the way, you need to sign him to an extension. And I'll reiterate, he's 35. I mean, he was drafted in 2013. So I'm just curious, your thoughts, the Raiders acquiring Geno Smith for a 3rd.
Well, I think the price was fine for what they gave up for to me, he's in that middle third of quarterbacks on the bottom tier of that. I think he's somewhere,
20?
16 to 20.
Okay.
Somewhere in that range. But they were dealing with somewhere between 28 and 32.
Damn right they were. I mean, it was Aiden O'Connell or Geno Smith. Are we serious?
Right. So there's no comparison to what they have from where they were.
Okay.
Are they going to, to me, it all still matters. Are they going to draft Sanders? Do they think they're going to get him there and this is Geno being a placeholder? Which I still don't have a problem with. Bringing a veteran in who can play the game, who can help teach someone how to be a quarterback in that league.
That's if he'd be willing to do it. I mean, we don't know. I see Geno thinks he's got one more contract left. And so Geno's not going to want to groom Shedeur. I don't think. I think Geno's kind of like, hell no, man. I gotta throw for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, and I got to get me my 3-year, $120 million deal. It's my last contract. By the way, if you're the Raiders, are you taking Shedeur Sanders at 6? Or are you going, you know what? I can do 3-4 years at Geno, and I'll worry about quarterback 2-3 years down the road. Okay, let's take and think about who you can get your hands on at 6. You'll get a good player at 6.
A really good player.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get one of those big D linemen from the kid from Michigan might still be there possibly. And all of a sudden you got Max Crosby and an interior lineman and your defense up front set for the next, 6 years at least?
I mean, do you take Genty? Would you take the running back at 6?
I would not.
All right. Now, if you're Seattle, you couldn't come to a deal with Geno, and let's just say he was asking for 40-ish. Well, Sam Darnold, the tag is 41. Sam's 27 years old. Do you think that the Seahawks organization just looked at one another and said, well, if we're going to pay $35-40 million for a quarterback, I'll take Sam Darnold at 27 over Geno Smith at 35?
Actually, I think that's exactly what happened, David. Why pay the old guy who we know what his ceiling? I mean, that's the thing. With Geno, you know what the ceiling is. And it's not that high. Now, the floor's been good enough.
Yeah, he's raised the floor significantly.
A lot. And
Right.
that's important. But with Darnold and what he showed, do they think if they bring him on, they can fix what happened in the last two games, particularly in the Detroit game where he didn't look like he knew how to play the position?
Now, the talk is, I think, and I don't know if it's the OC in Seattle or it's the quarterback coach, but one of them was with Darnold with the Niners for that year. And so, there's thought that, never mind the fact that they need a quarterback and he might be the best one and certainly the youngest, best one on the market, blah, blah, blah. So, but in theory, though, you're going to have to pay, right? I mean, because we thought he was going to Nashville. Well, now if Seattle's like, hell no, he's ours, I mean, you can get a little bidding situation going on there. I mean, the Baker contract could all of a sudden become $40+ million a year.
But even at 42, let's say, just a little bit above what the figure is going to be if you were to put him on the tag. You give him 3 years for 126, guarantee 2 of them? Don't you think you could get that deal done with Sam Darnold?
No, I think he'd look for 4 minimum, but I know what you're saying. And you might have hit the price point perfectly, I think. Here's my question, though. 2 weeks ago, he had a pretty good wide receiving core to throw to in Seattle. They just let their top 2 receivers walk. Let one walk, and they traded the other. I mean, this ain't Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson that, cash. I mean, same thing with Nashville, by the way. You better get a nice signing bonus, cash the check, because you ain't throwing to them for a while.
Well, explain to me where Sam Darnold could go where there would, obviously it's not going to be what was in Minnesota, but what's left that looks like it's got a competent wide receiver room? The Giants?
Well,
I'm being serious.
No, I mean, the Giants have one good young receiver. The Jets have one good young receiver, and most people don't think Sam would go back to the Jets. No. But quite frankly, both of their receiving rooms are better than Seattle's right now.
Like if you were Sam Darnold, where would you go? If we all know the teams that need a quarterback. Do you lean Pittsburgh now?
With DK?
Yeah.
They're not going to spend that kind of money on a quarterback. But
no, if he was a cornerback, they'd spend it right away. But he's
No
on
doubt.
the offensive side of the ball, so why bother to spend any money there?
Although if you're a Steelers fan, don't you have to be encouraged? They finally paid somebody on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, that's encouraging. It's like, wow, they realize you have to score points after all. Huh, I'll be damned. But, man, I just thought that's a good old-fashioned, that's a baseball trade. That's a hockey trade. That's a good old-fashioned trade right there. You don't see those type of deals in the NFL.
Because everybody's got to win the damn trade.
Seattle won 10 games last year. They just let DK Metcalf walk and traded away their starting quarterback. That's fascinating.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Is snoring bothering your spouse? Would you like to sleep in the same bed again? Do you know that snoring can affect your sleep cycle and cause lower testosterone levels? At Sleep Treatment Direct, we have easy solutions. We have a simple laser procedure that can improve snoring in 10 minutes. If you would like to get back in the same bed or are looking for a natural way to treat low testosterone, give us a call at 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Or go to sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
In Canada relief, we did say Tennessee last week because we didn't see Geno Smith getting traded.
Chad Forbes put a post out a couple of minutes ago. Tampering day predictions at quarterback.
Outstanding.
He's got Darnold, 3 years, 120, Minnesota. Rodgers, 1 year, 25, Seattle. Russ, 3 years, 90, Giants. Daniel Jones to Indianapolis. Justin Fields to Pittsburgh. My favorite one, Jameis Winston, 1 year, $4 million, fully guaranteed, Fox Sports.
He'd be gold.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. David Sampson to join us on the show tomorrow. The legal tampering will be underway in the NFL, so we'll have probably about 37 deals to go over with, even though free agency will not have officially begun, but you know. So that's what to look forward to on the show tomorrow.
Going to be a busy day today, starting at noon.
Mm-hmm.
Legal tampering begins.
Right.
As if it hasn't already started.
Right. As if deals aren't already in the drawer. Yep. What'd you say there? Chad Forbes, he threw out some predictions as to what quarterbacks are going to end up where?
Chad Forbes put out his tampering day predictions at quarterback.
I love that.
He has Sam Darnold staying in Minnesota with a 3-year, $120 million deal and $75 million guaranteed.
Wow.
He has Aaron Rodgers on a 1-year, $25 million fully guaranteed deal to go to Seattle.
Interesting.
Russell Wilson with a 3-year deal going to the New York Giants.
I'll say it again. He interviewed 2 places last year, the Giants and the Steelers. And he had a really good interview with the Giants, and he said, "Are you giving me the job?" And they said, "No. Daniel Jones will start. You'll be there if he falters." And he said, "Okay, thanks. I'm going to Pittsburgh."
Daniel Jones to Indianapolis is his prediction. Justin Fields stays in Pittsburgh. My favorite of all, he's got Mac Jones going to Miami as their backup for $4 million. He goes way down the list here.
It's funny. I thought Mac Jones had another year, but I guess not. That's the second person I've seen mention Mac Jones.
My favorite is, though, Jameis Winston, 1 year, $4 million, fully guaranteed to Fox Sports. Well played there. Good job by Chad Forbes with his tampering day predictions at quarterback.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today was the day when, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health. If you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call today, 239-427-3441. That's 239-427-3441 or GameDayMen'sHealth.com. 1876 we start today when Alexander Graham Bell says, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." The first telephone call. This is a little tidbit that really means nothing, but I found it amusing. Mainly because it happened 150, 140 years ago. But in 1893, New Mexico State University cancels its first graduation ceremony. Its only grad, Sam Steele, was robbed and killed the night before. Yeah. Today in 1951, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover declines the post of baseball commissioner. Could you imagine what the uniforms would have looked like if he'd have taken the job? 1963, Pete Rose has his debut at spring training. He hits 2 hits in his first 2 at-bats. Simon and Garfunkel record The Sound of Silence today in 1964. 1978, The Incredible Hulk premieres on CBS. Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive hits number 1 on the Hot 100 today in 1979. It becomes a female empowerment anthem. The kicker, the song was written by 2 men. 1980, Willard Scott becomes the weather forecaster on the Today Show. He was a big deal for a long time.
Absolutely. And celebrating those that turned 100. Oh, yeah.
1997, Buffy the Vampire Slayer made its premiere on the WB. Sepp Blatter, the former FIFA president who took as much money as he could from anybody to have the World Cup in Qatar, turned 89 today. Chuck Norris is 85 and he'd still kick your ass. Basketball player Austin Carr is 77. Actress Sharon Stone, 67. Pam Oliver is 64. Rod Woodson is 60. Edie Brickell is 59. John Hamm, 54. Carrie Underwood is 42. David's favorite, Bad Bunny, is 31. And Zach Levine is 30. What did I miss, David?
Andy Gibb died on this day in 1988 at the age of 30. The youngest of the Gibb brothers, the Bee Gees. It's kind of like Karen Carpenter. Supposedly Karen had just had gotten herself past some of the eating disorder issues and was on the right track, but her body fell apart. Andy supposedly had just gotten clean after years of drugs, but a heart virus. And he died at the age of 30.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Sumter County in Florida for the good, where firefighters and animal control officers teamed up to rescue a runaway dog found stranded on the edge of a river with his leash and collar entangled in a tree. Multiple boaters called, concerned that the dog could not get out of the water. So the 2 groups were able to get the dog out. He was scanned for a microchip, which allowed the rescuers to identify his owner and get a happy reunion. For the bad, we go to New Hampshire, where Nicholas Walton, the 18-year-old, fell asleep in his pickup truck in the middle of a road. First responders said he appeared to be passed out behind the wheel with the transmission in drive and the doors locked. Troopers had to place tire deflection surfaces in front of the truck and then had to break the windows to get him out of the car because he was too drunk to wake up. Sounds like my partner and this weekend's member guest. Finally, the ugly. We go to the Pokemon world because someone spent $87,840 at the Golden Auction House to buy a 3-inch long Cheeto shaped like the character Charizard, which is a Pokemon. Someone literally paid $90,000 for a Cheeto that looked like a Pokemon.
Did they then eat it?
I would have. I want to break into the guy's house, break the case, and have a Cheeto.
Wasn't there like some art sold recently and like a banana was a part of the art?
The banana.
And the guy bought it and ate the banana?
$90,000 for a Cheeto. It better have at least been a crunchy Cheeto and not a puff. Cheeto puffs are the worst.
So what are we going? We can't go with the puffy one. Got to go with the crunchy one. Better resale value.
And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Monday, March the 10th. If you'd like to sponsor this segment or a few others on the show, you can text 21,000 and we can hook you up. It's that easy. Opportunities are available.
12 games in the NBA tonight. Wow, it's a lot of action. None of them nationally televised unless NBA TV counts. If it does, 8 o'clock, Denver and OKC, they're going at it for a second straight time. People are wondering, is there anybody that can give OKC a series out west? And most people think Denver's got the best shot. They're tied with the Lakers for the 2 seed. Speaking of the Lakers, they're in Brooklyn. Remember, no LeBron for 1 to 2 weeks because of a groin injury. So we'll see how they do. Both Heat and Magic in action over the weekend, Mark. Heat blew another 17-point lead to the Bulls at home and lost. The number of huge lead games that the Heat have lost this year is immense, to the point where if they had just won half of them, they'd clearly be no worse than the 6 seed and might even be challenging for the 4 or 5 area. But Heat are in action tonight at home. They're taking on Charlotte. Orlando is in Houston. Your hockey team has a really big game tonight.
They're not playing very well right now, David.
No, they're not. But yet they're what? 2 games out of the playoffs?
Yep.
The problem is the 2 teams they're chasing, they're 3 points behind Ottawa, 2 points behind Columbus. And both Ottawa and Columbus have played 1 less game. Nope, Columbus has played the same number of games as you guys have. So you're in Ottawa tonight. Man.
I think it's a must-win and a must-regulation win. They can't allow Ottawa to get any points out of this, and Ottawa is a big favorite at home, minus 170.
Elsewhere, not
David, I don't know if you've ever seen a number like this. The Blackhawks are at Colorado tonight. You want to take a guess at what the odds are for Colorado?
450.
Minus 600.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I've ever seen that for a hockey game.
I don't know if I have either. Come on, you got to throw a couple shekels on the Blackhawks.
Right. Just for you-know-what and giggles.
I mean, for that kind of odds, my goodness. So there is no power conference college hoops tonight. All the power conference stuff begins tomorrow, and that's like, 11 seed versus 14 seed, So, I mean, these tournaments really don't get going until Wednesday or Thursday. But there's literally not a power conference game on the schedule. There is a ranked team in action tonight. The best team in the West Coast Conference. It's not Gonzaga this year. It's St. Mary's. They're ranked. They're home for the upstart that is Pepperdine. Pepperdine's won 3 games in a row to make it to the West Coast Conference's semis. But we have 3 bids, Mark. 3 bids up for grabs tonight. In the Patriot, American against Navy. In the Sun Belt, Arkansas State against Troy. And in the SoCon, Furman against Wofford.
So 3 bids up for grabs tonight. A couple of those games are right across from one another. Both the Furman-Wofford game and Arkansas State and Troy tip at 7 for those of you that want to watch a little small conference basketball. 1.5 the line in both those games.
I do have to correct myself. They're giving American and Navy an extra day off. They don't play tonight. The Patriot League bid, I think, is tomorrow. So that's interesting. Good for them. Should be a better game.
But the big story throughout the day will be NFL free agency, as legal tampering begins at noon. I think you'll see some trades. You might even see a trade between now and noon.
Remember, teams have till 4 o'clock Wednesday to be cap compliant. The Saints reportedly have to cut over $40 million
or kick more of it down the road the way that they've often done. They're running out of contracts to do that with, though.
Well, I thought I heard Pat say on our show a couple of weeks ago that the Saints are to the point where they've kicked so many contracts down the road that there are a ton of contracts that they have where it will cost more money to kick it than to keep them. That they don't have anybody really under contract they can cut, okay, in terms of their big money guys and get cap relief. They would all take bigger hits this year if they got rid of their most expensive players. That's a bad position to be in.
And we've only been talking about this for seemingly 5 years. And at the end of the Sean Payton era, they had all that money they kicked down the road, and it's finally coming to haunt them. And that's why David and I, for the longest time, said we wouldn't take that job.
Nope. So that'll be the big story throughout the day, will be the legal tampering. By the way, it's the phrase the NFL media came up with. I know there's no such thing as legal tampering because in the definition of tampering, there's illegality involved. But that's what the NFL media came up with, trying to make fun of an absurd situation. And so we're going along with it as well. The other thing you may hear more of today, it'll probably be made official that Garrett Cole is out for the year with Tommy John surgery. Brian Cashman all but said those words yesterday, and he's the Yankees general manager. So technically they went for a second opinion, but it's being widely reported. Miller and Moulton, David Sampson tomorrow. Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.